crossover. Just crossover. It just crossed him over nastily.
Another victim to the crossovers. Cross him up and sit him down.
Crossover is powered by Everlevel Concrete Repair in Omaha at everlevelconcrete.com. Hey, boys, how are we?
Hello.
Can I start by commending you and Gary for coming in to the office?
Thank you.
Today.
Good job.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Stuff out there.
Also, I'd like to commend you for not being like other morning drive hosts. You know, the coffee sippers who tell you for 4 hours what their dog did last night.
Yeah.
That post on Facebook on days like today. Oh my gosh, the roads at 4 a.m. were terrible. Well, yeah, it was 4 a.m.
Yeah, they're always bad. What do you expect?
Yeah.
We didn't really trash. We did not trash them today. Don't get me wrong. I am not above trashing the people who are unable to clean up snow. That was kind of a bit that I did while in my former employer. But today, there is obvious leeway when a whole blizzard comes through with rain and ice and snow and everything like that. For the most part, Dodge looks really good right now.
Did a great job.
So I think they've been pretty successful. Still, we had a whole PSA. Look, don't be the big guy trying to go too fast. All right, you don't want to end up with a bad bumper or a bad windshield or anything like that. You don't want to have the mechanics, suck the money out of you. Just
Thank you, municipalities.
Just take it slow.
Great job. Now we're gonna get the sun to work. Come on.
Yeah,
let's go. Come on. Time to go.
Is Mount McMaster being built out there right now? Or
Not a thing. And where's your stupid flag?
It broke.
Where is it though?
It is in my car.
All right.
Okay, so it's not like on the ground for our friend to take as a weapon?
This is actually not a joke. I was driving to go somewhere, and I was on Dodge, and it was when the snow was melting. It was during our very hot week. And I actually, on my way there, pulled into the parking lot to pick up the rest of the 2x4.
Smart.
Because I didn't want it to blow into the street or for it to be a weapon for anyone.
That's what I'm mostly worried
who may or may not be causing havoc out on Dodge. So I picked it up. It is in my car. It is in my car.
We got a couple people around who just like to be around.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, I've met one of them.
All right, good.
And they told me to stop looking at him
last time he was around, he had a stick. And
not my stick.
No, like a cop. What do they call those? The
Billy
baton.
Baton.
Baton. Right.
A baton.
Yeah. He had one of those.
Yeah.
It was like
Billy
turquoise
too, but I think that's different.
or something like that.
That's scary.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
it was.
That's not good. No, I grabbed the 2x4. I don't think the flag will be coming back anytime soon.
That's good.
That I made the statement that it was good content.
Everyone definitely heard you, and it was.
You are the worst. But you know what? God forbid I try and make a little bit of entertainment and slight controversy here on this radio.
I was definitely entertained.
So more people can listen to our shows. God forbid.
Oh, it was drawn in the listeners. I apologize.
People were tweeting about it. No one's ever gave a damn about Mount Happer.
That's actually not true.
I came across it. No one gave a damn. They didn't give a rat's butt about it.
All right, kid.
Until I planted a flag and everybody was tweeting about it and texting about it.
All right. There's a big pile out there. You want to go pee on it or something like that?
I will pee on it to make a statement.
Good.
I'll do anything for content. I'll have Odson go live on Twitter to watch me pee.
I'm not filming you pee on anything.
It's so funny though.
You got to hold your own camera for that.
That day that I almost spilled.
No, you did spill.
I know, but not into the bad parts of the studio.
There are no bad parts in the studio. What are you talking about?
I mean, like I didn't spill it onto the board. It's just on the table. It's just on the table. So when John,
all right, let me get you some baby wipes.
I can't really do anything about it. There you go.
Teach my daughter this stuff too.
That day where I planted the flag out in Mount Happer,
Yep.
and I claimed it to be Mount McMaster, and then John Bishop ran out there, but no one could hear John because it was disconnected. Him and I had a full screaming match at each other that just never went on the radio.
No, it did.
So
we saw some of
I
it.
listened to it back.
Oh,
it wasn't
wow.
full. It wasn't the full thing.
No.
I called him an old man.
Yeah.
That didn't get over the radio.
Yeah. Nice. He is an old man.
I mean, he calls me every time I see him. I've said 10 words to John Bishop, and 9 of them have been, "How's algebra class?" or "How's school going?"
Yeah.
Or
That's funny.
"Aren't you supposed to be in diapers right now?" or whatever.
Yeah,
like every time I see him,
That's funny. That's funny. Kevin writes in. So how is Mount Happer this morning?
It's small.
It's repopulated in a different location. We've pushed all the snow to the original location of.
It's actually much better.
Yeah, that's where it always has been. I don't know why they moved it toward the sign last time it snowed, but
Well-
yes, it is in the southwest corner of the parking lot, and looking good. It'll be gone by Sunday.
How about we make a truce here? When the snow,
I'm not offering any deals.
when the snow is pushed toward the sign and is much smaller, that's Mount McMaster.
Wrong.
And when it's pushed towards the back,
Wrong.
when it's pushed towards the back and much bigger, it's Mount Happer.
Like I said this whole time, you can call it whatever the hell you want. Nobody's gonna call it that. Nobody's gonna call it that.
Did you enjoy watching Nebraska basketball last night? Where you're
Not really.
Do you ever enjoy watching Nebraska basketball?
Where your cock was warm to watching 2 overtimes?
No.
50 minutes of play. Hey, we saw a record get broken yesterday. Bryce Williams set the single game record, 43 points, got it at the very last minute. Who's counting?
3 consecutive hours of
Torture
yeah,
and pain
yeah,
and up and down.
yeah. Coming off of 2 hours of a little pain and then fun.
Didn't it feel like it was one of those games where Ohio State, like you just knew they were going to win, but it just kept getting elongated, like longer and longer, and it kept playing out.
No.
And like Nebraska kept winning, like
I definitely didn't think that when Nebraska was up by 6 in overtime.
5. But yeah,
Yeah, I was like,
1 bucket away.
I think they're going to do it. This feels like the Illinois game where they won by 7 in overtime. I was like, well, Bryce Williams is getting to his spots. They're not going to lose this.
Now, if we're going off of trends from the season, and you know me, I'm a big trend guy.
I didn't know that about you, but okay.
They are due for a winning streak here
Winning streak.
after a 4-game losing streak.
Uh-huh.
Based on the past of what this team has done, they
Right.
are due to beat Iowa and then win 3 games in a row. At least if we're just going off of the I mean, that's what it would have to be, right? Or is it done? Are you just like done
To do what? What
to
do you
make
mean?
the NCAA tournament?
I think they would have to probably, depending on who they played in the second game, they would have to at least win that and then roll the dice and see what happens.
So you're just kind of edge of the seat. So you're saying 2 wins in the Big Ten tournament, you're on the edge of your seat on Selection Sunday.
I would think so. I mean, that's the way it feels to me right now.
'Cause the bubble's bad.
What I'm saying is like they need. I don't think there's a number. Like I just think they need one more. I think they need one more win to cancel out all the bad stuff that has happened. Because last night, I mean, theoretically, it didn't hurt you outside of Ohio State being put in a better position. They're on the bubble too, right?
No, that's a good point. And I do think that now Shelby on his, because he does his bracket every day, he still had Nebraska over Ohio State, despite the fact
Who's
that
Shelby?
he's the guy who does USA Today. He's like a daily bracket guy that we look at. I mean, we reference his brackets. He's Gary likes him a lot.
All right, cool. I never heard of
he's-
Shelby.
He still had Nebraska over Ohio State, despite the fact that Ohio State had won. Now, maybe that had changed in the last couple of hours.
Did he go to bed early?
No,
last night?
but that's the thing. It was this morning, and typically he's an AM this morning
Okay,
guy.
okay.
And so I think he still had Nebraska over Ohio State, which I don't understand. He still also had Xavier in the first 4 hours.
And why do you guys like this guy so much?
Well, because he updates every single day. He does it every day. Like we don't have to wait for like, oh, a Lenardi bracket came out. We just know that the guy, he's there. He's accessible. Okay.
All right, that's good.
But
That's good.
regardless of that, I think
A
3 games.
A certain point of this falls so it falls into this location for me that like it's just hard to reconcile with. It's life or death. It's making the NCAA tournament. But then I watch it and I watch all this other basketball too. And I'm like, these teams suck. Like these teams should not be in the NCAA tournament.
I agree.
But then also,
I agree.
you know, I said what I said the other day, which is you're on the bubble. If I'm speaking to Nebraska fans, you're on the bubble. You should be like, you should be fighting for it. You should be like engaging in a PR war against some of the other teams out there. We did this better than whatever part of your metric that you want to highlight, whatever part of your resume that you want to highlight the most. Like you should be drilling that conversation. But at the same time, you pull out and it's a 40,000 foot view. And I look at these teams and I'm like, this is bad.
Oh, yeah.
This is horrible.
And it would go down as, I mean, this is going to go down as one of the weaker fields in NCAA tournament period history. I mean, it is not.
Well, I hope it ends up that now this would not be advantageous for Nebraska, but like I hope it ends up that the bid stealers come in.
Yeah.
Because
It'll make it more competitive and more at least telling or
Well,
enticing.
I just would rather have more Cinderella mid-majors in the field than I would
crappy Power 5
than I
teams.
would 500 SEC and Big Ten teams.
So-
like their record is 500, not 500 of them. Although there will be that too.
So there is this conversation to be had about the fact that this season going the way that it has, meaning they start off great, then they have this momentum heading into the Big Ten season, then they have the losing streak, then they have the winning streak, and it's like this up and down and roller coaster of it. There's an argument to be had because it's been so grueling and torturous.
Yeah, people are ready to get off.
That it's like, even if they do make the tournament, is it even still like a great, successful, awesome year?
I mean, of course it is. But people are definitely
you remember it more for the mid. Now, granted,
No, you won't.
If
If
they
they win an NCAA tournament game, that's it. And
no,
that's all
I'm just talking about making. I'm not talking about winning an NCAA tournament game.
Okay.
I agree with you. Yeah, who the hell cares? I'm not going to apologize for winning if they win an NCAA tournament game. But like, you're at the point now. Now, granted, they would have to win probably 3 games in the Big Ten tourney in order to lock themselves in the tournament and get themselves in the tournament. So maybe if they do that and you have that run, that 3-day run, if you're winning games, you look at the season more positively because that happened. But at the same time, it's like you still the sour taste in your mouth doesn't really ever leave from just the up and down and topsy-turviness and disappointing results that they've had all year.
Yeah, people want to get off the ride.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it. It's been a horrible roller coaster. I think Nebraska fans want to get off it.
It's a lingering.
And
they feel dead.
But you don't know with this team because they felt dead 4 weeks ago. And they're the most bipolar basketball team I've ever watched in my entire life.
Yeah, so there's 2 conversations. Like, there's the conversation about them not playing well, and then there's the conversation about them not being good enough.
So
they're both not playing well. Last night, I think they played well, like enough to win.
Right.
But 40,000 foot view, they're not good enough.
No, they aren't.
Like they're just so there's like there's I think there's a maybe an admission, I guess, of guilt there for Nebraska fans. It's like, yeah, I kind of know what we're looking at here.
Well,
and it's not a team that you want to root for. Like,
No.
if they weren't good enough and they play hard all the time and they liked each other and you liked them, then maybe we would still want to be on this ride. But people don't want to be on the ride anymore because I don't think it's a very likable group.
Exactly.
And I don't think they like each other.
Exactly.
There isn't a Tominaga where you're like,
No,
yeah,
there's
this guy's
no one,
fun.
and it's Williams, but it's like, when it was very telling when Bryce hit that 3 in Iowa City and everyone wanted to celebrate and he was telling them all to calm down. It's like, he just made a massive comeback, massive 3, and there was like zero celebration. But I want to get back on that point, right? So yesterday they lose. But I sat there and I was like, you know what? They lost like this is a basketball game. Like, they played an actual basketball game. It was an actually competitive game. Calls came into it. They were back and forth. They had a ton of energy. Like, throughout an entire season, you can kind of lose those games or be okay with losing those games.
Absolutely.
Because it's like, this is what happens. This is what basketball is. Some days it's your night. Some days it isn't. This season, they've lost so many games where it's not about basketball.
Correct.
It's about them, and it's about their effort, and it's about their lackadaisicalness of just playing defense, even though their coach is screaming to them and screaming to the media, this is our identity and this is what we need to do to win. And so it is an unlikable team because when they do decide, it's a choice for them to play that way. And when they choose to do that, they're not that bad.
Right.
They're not that bad. But the problem is that for whatever reason, despite the fact that they are now getting paid to do all this, they don't always choose to play that way. Which is
I think
a joke.
that's part of the equation too here. I don't know. They didn't get the chemistry right on this
clearly.
group.
Clearly.
You never really know, I guess, until you know. But that's definitely one thing they got to dial in on. And it's funny because, like I said, like we've been saying, they could still make the NCAA tournament, but
it's just not wild.
right.
I mean, at
It's
this
not
point, like
right.
you said, I think that more people are ready. Funny enough, there's a ESPN tournament challenge advertisement on there yesterday. That was an interesting broadcast too. I really like Peacock. I know that it sucks that you have to pay for it, and it is a wall, and it is unfortunate.
Peacock is awesome,
But in terms, it's so good. Why don't these other networks broadcast
audio
on,
is bad.
Well, Gary was saying that, and he was talking about the audience. If I'm being honest with you, I don't really pay too much attention to that and the delay of it. Like, I understand if that ignores you.
And then the broadcasters are bad.
Well, so they were bad yesterday. Bardo was. I like Bardo on most nights.
Our dear friend Paul Burmeister. Who
I like Burmeister.
I do
Just
not.
listening to the show right now.
I think he's fine. I think Burmeister's fine. I think Bardo is fine on most occasions too. Yesterday they had an off night. You know,
I don't think that is a good characterization of what.
I think Bardo. I know that I'm in the minority, but I do enjoy. Bardo.
You're a Chicago Bardo homer.
And here's the thing too. Like
I love
mid
Steven Bardo.
I watch mid Big Ten teams. Okay, the Big Ten teams that I care for historically have been either mid or bad.
So
okay?
you get a lot of Bardo.
So I get a lot of Bardo.
Yeah.
I get a ton of Bardo. When I get Robbie Hummel broadcasting my game, it's like a sweet treat. You know, I don't get to hear him a lot, you know, because this is rare. Like, we're important enough for Hummel and, you know, Kugler to come on and Benetti to come on, whatever. But I just don't understand why none of the other TVs or like channels do 1080p picture. Like, do they not have the budget? Are they too lazy? Is there like a production aspect that I'm just unaware of?
I don't know. I have no idea. Maybe it's the update. Maybe they
we're in the 21st century.
Upgrade all their cameras or something like that. I have no idea where that comes from.
Get Puck on here.
Oh, Mr. Orand.
Yeah. Ask him.
Yeah. Why can't we get? Am I banging on the wrong drum here? Like, like we got a lot of technology now.
We could probably get somebody from a truck somewhere.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, easily. Just call.
It's like, why does it actually look so much better and more full on NBC than any other? Because it looks every time. I notice this when I watch, the games on Fox. I mean, they look tremendously worse than the games on Peacock. It's kind of unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
Unless
the
they're in
FS1
4K
quality to Peacock quality is insane.
I always think when Creighton plays at Xavier, for whatever reason, that I don't know if it's the cameras that they have at Xavier or whatever they have going on there. I always think that Xavier looks like it is in standard definition for some reason, and I can't figure out.
It always
why.
looks like there's Vaseline on the camera on FS1.
There are multiple times where I've been watching on FS1,
and then you see it so clearly, and you're like, "Oh my god, this is what it could be. This seems easy."
And it's more so back at my house in Chicago or home in Chicago, not here in Omaha. But we still have the cable where you got to actively go to HD. There's two different channels, the HQ channel, the non-HQ channel.
Oh, really?
There have been multiple times where on FS1, I will be on the HD channel and I will click to be like
I need to go to the
HD and they're like, you're
channel,
already there. I'm like, what are we doing? You're a multi-billion-dollar corporation. Can we not get
I'm with you. Yeah.
Some better camera. I mean, it's just it's the contrast yesterday from TV1 to TV2 of what I was watching.
Especially if, according to these networks, the only thing that draws eyeballs anymore is sports. Why are you not investing in quote unquote the only thing that matters?
But I don't know what it is. Like, I don't know if it's the cameras or I'm
telling you right now, just call Nebraska Public Media and get someone on the line, and I guarantee they can answer. Just call NPM. Maybe just be like, hey, this is NPM. What do you need? Like, we need somebody
out
right
there
now
listening from a broadcast truck somewhere.
What is ESPN spending on these TV deals for the SEC? I mean, hundreds of millions of dollars. You don't think that they can, close to the billions. Like, you don't think they can go in and go to Best Buy and just get a better camera?
Well, I don't think it's that. I don't think that those are available for them at Best Buy. But
you don't know.
Yeah.
I get better. I get some pretty good quality pictures on my Sony cameras from Best Buy.
It's an undertaking. It's harder than it seems, I'm sure. But I mean, there is now somebody out there who does it right? Like, you can't get away with the bare minimum anymore. Like, NBC is like, I got this.
National TV company buys correct cameras for better picture because they know how to provide the best quality content for their watchers.
Except for announcers.
Business
is
some people know
done
how
well.
Business is done.
I thought that's where you're going.
I didn't end with the line. I didn't end with the line. That was a bad bar routine end. Great in the middle though. I want Ashken Genty on my football team now. That's official. So call me crazy. I don't want an offensive.
Is this a new thing?
We got Joe Tooney and we got Jonah Jackson. We've got two offensive linemen now. Like, we have 2 second-round picks.
2/5 of an offensive line.
Would you settle for Cam Scatterbo?
No.
Okay.
The only guy I would settle for is either a Marion Hampton, but I think he's going later in the first round. the Bears could get Caleb Johnson out of Iowa, which would be
Too many Calebs.
too many Calebs,
Yeah,
and
Caleb.
it would be like one of those things where like, I don't like that guy. Like, like it'd be a contrast of interest.
He's not even the best Caleb on the team.
No. I would not like him.
Although
So
Caleb Johnson is Caleb with a K. So
Caleb and Caleb, but they would like bury that into the ground in
Yeah.
Chicago media and just make that absolutely insufferable.
Did
But
you know they're
Caleb.
roommates?
they're going. I think that's what they're doing. I think they're gonna get more linemen. They'll draft one in the second round. Ashton Jennings to the Bears. I will take it, dude. I will. Some people are poo pooing it, dude. Shut up.
people don't like
People
Genty.
don't, dude. I was listening to Chicago radio when I was back home over the weekend, and they spent a full 2 segments on how they wouldn't want Ashton Jennings.
Oh, because he's
they're
never
like,
played anyone.
well, it's that, and then they're like,
He
couldn't
couldn't
he's
do it in the Big Ten West.
They're like, he's more of a power back.
wait, I
I'm
guess,
like,
what is
yeah,
this, a
he
North-
is. He's great at being a power back. And then they're like, we need to fix the offensive line. All right, well, now it's fixed. Go and draft the best god dang player in the NCAA. What I would do for Caleb Williams to put the ball in the belly of Ashton Jennings.
It'd be good.
It'd be
You would do a lot.
I would cut off a finger.
Really?
I'd probably cut off the tip of my pinky.
Wow.
And then I would cut off the full pinky for a Super Bowl.
Okay, that's it.
I
So
would-
Ashton
that's
Jennings,
it.
half the
Yeah.
pinky,
I
full
mean,
pinky, Super Bowl. It feels
full-
like there needs to be
Mike
all-
Vrabel in New England's willing to cut
Yeah.
off more
I
than
would
that.
I would cut off.
I feel like you got that's worth a whole hand.
I
at
would
least.
I would cut off my right ring finger. I would cut off both ring fingers, one for a Nebraska national championship, one for a Bears Super Bowl.
Okay.
I would be four fingered max.
It still doesn't feel like enough.
Now,
Really?
I just feel like there's people willing to offer more.
What is the standard sacrifice for your team to win a championship?
Well, like I said,
where's the
question.
bar?
We've
Question.
Yeah.
How much do you have to cut off your body in order for your team
we got
to win a
Vrabel.
title?
Vrabel's
Mhm.
set the bar for
Yeah,
these things.
he'd cut off his wee, right?
That's exactly right.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it was funny when I go, he'll cut off his. Both of you took a deep breath,
I was
and,
like, what's he
and
gonna do?
Hodgson went over to the dump button just in case.
Mhm.
No, his wee wee.
Let's see.
Yeah, what's
here.
the standard amount? I wouldn't cut off a full hand.
Would you go whole leg?
A whole leg? No, absolutely not. No, for both, I'd be getting both in that, right?
Sure, I'll give you both.
I would have to. I would if we're doing a full limb. I would have to get multiple from both. But I think about it.
Hmm.
I would do 2 dynasties. See, here's another thing.
Would you
too.
give up Snapchat for it?
Mm.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd probably give up Snapchat in like a week where we're trending.
Okay.
MJ asked on YouTube, what about an ear?
I'd give up an ear.
Okay. You'd
I'd give
Vincent
up an ear.
Van Gogh it for a Super
Yes.
Bowl?
I'd give up an ear for a Super Bowl, yeah, and for a national championship.
That feels like more than a ring finger.
No, an ear?
Yeah.
I mean, I just can't hear, right? I mean, that's fine.
I think you can still hear.
You still got one ear?
Yeah.
Yeah, you still can hear.
Yeah.
I have selective hearing anyway.
Yeah,
So-
but I'm saying this is a step up from just a ring finger.
yeah, you're telling me to take a step up.
I am.
So I took a step up. I would go as far as an ear. Yes.
Okay. As far as an ear, do you think
What-
we could push it any further?
I don't think I'd give up a nose. An eye, maybe? I wouldn't give up an eye. I like to.
You could get a national championship eye patch.
That's
You
true.
just wear it everywhere. Yeah.
What about
That'd be
a foot?
good bit. I like to skate. I like to run. I'm a physically active human.
You need
I-
that foot.
Not that you still can do all those things with
Mm-hmm.
a with the prosthetic, and prosthetics have taken a massive jump in science, but it would just be a little
Thank
bit
you.
more difficult.
Yes.
Yes, I want to make sure that I'm not disrespecting the handicapped community. you're talking
Thank
about.
you. Thank
You
you.
want to? Yes, I am. I'm making sure.
Thank you.
Whole arm.
No.
From the elbow
No.
down.
No.
Okay.
What? Like once again, how many am I getting?
Okay.
Am I getting 6 between two, like in a 20-year span between two
No.
teams? Whole hand is a lot.
You're getting one Super Bowl.
I will take 1 Super Bowl for 1 year.
That seems like it's close to the max.
It does.
Yeah. I don't think there's anything more.
Not a lot of
And
other
I think
places
you
to
would.
go.
Would you take that for what is your number 1 championship that you want any of your teams to win, and what would you give up for it? Both of you.
I already got a Royals title.
Yeah, he's seen the Royals and Nuggets win. I mean,
And you, I mean,
I was like 1 second away from Creighton going to the Final Four, and
that one bad foul call away.
yeah,
Jeez. Don't talk about that.
Yeah.
What would you do? I mean,
I don't know. I don't know what I would. I don't. At this point, I still feel well fed as a sports fan.
I don't feel well fed.
I don't feel particularly hungry at the moment.
The
But you're getting desperate. You're
the
like,
Cubs
take
World
my ear.
Series. The Cubs World Series has worn off.
Okay, so it's been almost 10 years.
It's been almost 10 years.
Which is funny because my World Series came longer ago, and I'm still fine.
I'm not. I'm just kind of, because I'm ready for the Cubs to matter again. Because like after the 2016 World Series, I was like, all right, we did it.
Yeah.
I don't have to check the box scores every day.
They
I don't
signed
have
Bobby
to
Witt
watch.
Jr. to a 10-year deal, and I'm like, all right, that's good.
I think that's why he feels fine about the Royals, because the Royals
have a future,
are in a
good spot.
pretty decent spot. Yeah.
You can see it coming. What would yours be before I get out of here?
I've seen Nebraska win a national champion.
know.
I mean, the Titans are so far away from a Super Bowl, it feels foolish to give up something for it.
The Bears are too. Okay. So, you guys are you guys are satiated. I'm not satiated.
Yeah, Josh doesn't seem hungry.
I'm hungry. I'm hungry for. I need a natty. I need a natty. I need a Super Bowl. I need
we'll take that ear. Thank you very much.
I need a big title.
Celtics.
The
Reavers have given me a whole drawer full of rings.
Yeah, Josh is maybe one of the happier sports fans on earth. Actually.
I got a dynasty, but it was in hockey, which I like. But we're ranking the sports at we're going 1 to 4. What would you get your dynasty in? Hockey's the 4th.
Josh just got done eating Golden Palace on a Friday night. He's like, I'm good.
Good, everybody.
Went to Who Hut.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, I've already been multiple times. I love Who Hut.
All right. You're just saying, I went to Who Hut.
Well, you said Palace. I said Who Hut. I was just kind of throwing it out.
Who Hut?
You know what? We're not going to get into my speech.
That's what it is.
We're not.
It's not a speech impediment. It's saying a word correctly.
We're not doing this. We're not getting into. I'm not going to feed the wolf here.
All right. Thank you, Matt. Have a great day.
You too.
That's the crossover powered by Everlevel Concrete Repair in Omaha at everlevelconcrete.com. It's Wednesday. We'll start things off next.
That's the crossover. The Connor Happer Show is next on 1620 The Zone.
Blowing snow potential continues throughout the morning Wednesday as a high wind warning remains in effect with wind gusts out of the northwest 50 to 60 miles per hour possible. Still windy in the afternoon with a lot more sunshine with gusts 30 to 40 miles per hour, highs in the low 30s. I'm meteorologist Sean Everson from KETV Newswatch 7.
This is the story of the one. He's responsible for keeping a leading healthcare facility clean and safe. And he trusts Grainger's high-quality HVAC cleaning and safety products, combined with their world-class supply chain, to consistently deliver, ensuring he's covered inside and out, so he can focus on keeping his facility clean to help protect the health of everyone inside. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Everyone loves good guys. You can be that good guy by being an organization.
It's the Connor Happer Show. Are we sure we want to do this?
Could you, make an announcement that we're ready?
It's the Connor Happer Show on 1620, The Zone.
All right, welcome in, everybody. Happy Wednesday. It's the Connor Happer Show here on 1620 The Zone and on 1620thezone.com. Connor Happer, Josh Odson with you. Many things to talk about. Blizzards, snowstorms. Get this out. God.
What happened?
I'm so mad this morning. Can I just get this off?
Do it.
I don't.
People like when you're triggered.
I am. Yes. Now I actually did sneak in food, so I'm not hangry.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
So that has maybe given me some sanity this morning, but just my mornings are tight. They're tight.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
All right. So I'm trying this thing where I wake up at 7 and then I got an hour to get all my crap together before an hour is blacked out. An hour I do the podcast. And if for any reason anything takes longer than it's supposed to, it F's up the whole thing.
Absolutely.
It F's up the whole day.
No, this is a real thing.
And so we're late getting out the door. We got to render videos up and down and sideways. And I don't know if they're right or anything like that. We got technical difficulties everywhere. And then I'm I got to drive to work in the middle of gale force winds coming out of the north, people blowing off the road. But Dodge Street is 40% totally normal and 30% a complete disaster and 20% fine. You know, there's a mixture. I don't know if that added up to 100%.
I don't think it did.
So anyway, you go all the way down Dodge Street and people are driving 32 miles an hour the entire time, even though 40% of it is completely normal and fine. And it's not being affected by the weather literally at all whatsoever.
90th to 52nd. She's a beaut, Clark.
It's nice.
Nice job,
yeah.
Austin.
We got some questions on the expressway, and yeah. I know you don't come from that far out. There's some questions in some locations. It's generally pretty okay. The main arteries of our lovely town are generally pretty okay. Doesn't mean you shouldn't take caution. You should take caution. Always take caution, but you don't need to go 32 miles an hour. And then when you're going 32 miles an hour, you don't need a text. All right. We're already in a pretty highly questionable situation. And you're already taking the proper precaution to go a lot slower than you normally do. And your response is, I'm bored. I want to put up my phone today. This isn't dangerous enough for me. What an idiot. All right. Just go the speed limit and keep your eyes on the road. Give it a little bit more focus, a little bit more care. You're going to be okay today. I promise.
Crecky on the YouTube stream.
Hi, Crecky.
Shout out to the mayor's office, right, Josh? That's right, Crecky. Shout out to the mayor's office. In an election year, the only thing that matters to voters is the status of their roads.
This is a mayoral election year? Is this true?
Yes.
All right. I didn't even know that. I know about nothing.
Well, if we had some real contenders in this town, you'd hear about it.
Got you.
You can write my name in.
I was going to say, I don't see any signs out there.
That's an option.
Vote Josh Odson for mayor?
If people are doing it, I'll allow it, but far be it from me to tell you who to vote for.
Are you eligible?
I
How do you? Can you? I mean,
I live here.
Yeah, that helps. Well, it's not a requirement. But
Clearly,
it helps.
I'm going to turn 40.
I think that's probably enough, right?
Yeah.
You can be president at 35.
Yeah.
Or 90, whichever one you want.
Or anywhere in between.
Anywhere in between. Yeah. We got to try 100.
I think we might.
Yeah, we're good. I mean, things are trending that way anyway. So I'm just a little bit on edge today. All right. A little bit on edge. I had to watch a stupid basketball game for 3 hours last night. 5 hours if you throw in the Jays game.
We're so stupid.
It's so tough.
I told you what would happen yesterday afternoon, Connor.
Yeah. Yeah, what did you say?
I said
say it again.
Valiant effort, and they'd lose a close one. Yeah. And everyone laughed at me. The ball knowers said they're either going to win or lose by 1 million. And I laughed and I laughed. And I said, you idiots don't know anything about this team.
Yeah. I
do.
Yeah, whatever the opposite of what you think would be the most normal thing that could happen, that's what will happen. Anyway, so congratulations on Josh being right.
That's right.
Yet again. Crecky, Josh's mayoral slogan, I have teeth, I'm good.
I like it. Let's run it.
And then I gotta so the basketball game is going on. We gotta talk to Robin, but the basketball game's going on, and then afterwards, of course, you have to deal with Jack saying that my pain is more significant than your pain, any other pain. And I know it's a bit. Hey, but
my dad died. I don't care. I had to watch Nebrasketball.
Oftentimes when Nebraska loses, like Nebraska is like the center of the universe, right? And nothing else exists. So there's no way you could fathom. And this is not just Jack. There's no way that you could fathom what we've been through. It has become a popular thing for people in the Nebraska market to say yeah, I mean, what gets a lot of retweets? You say there's no place like Nebraska and you take a picture of the fans. That gets a lot of retweets and likes and shares and stuff like that. But you know what also gets a lot of likes and retweets and shares these days? Saying there is no pain like Nebraska pain. Really, truly. I just don't love that mindset. I just think that's a loser mentality.
There's always option C, Connor. Nothing is Nebraska's fault. Everything is the official's fault.
We do have that side of it as well. Today on the show, Robin's going to join in a minute. Mitch Sherman coming up at about 11:25. That's the lineup powered by the Roof Reads at John Hagan's Weather Guard. I Have an Opinion is coming up at noon today. Please share your opinions with us. We have a couple already. Here's how you share them. You can call or text into the show, 402-951-1620 on the hotline. You can tweet at Happer Show, at Connor Happer on the JTech Construction Zone Twitter feed. Email Connor, Josh O at 1620thezone.com on the Equitable Bank Zone inbox. Or you can leave a comment on the YouTube stream today. Hi, everybody. Thanks for being here. It's appreciated.
Love to have you.
It's appreciated. And then on top of all this garbage, it's just, the snow.
If you're stuck at home,
it's so cold.
But if you're stuck at home and you're watching us on YouTube,
you know what I also hate?
Send us a picture.
I also hate having stuff in my hands.
Oh, and my hands were full this morning coming in.
And you know what? And of course,
I need that little cart.
You got that stuff in your hands, and I had to bring some of the things that I would have normally done in my house when I had extra 10 minutes to eat after the podcast that I didn't have this morning. I would have just done all this at home. But instead, I got a plate full of mini empanadas that I air fried and ate for breakfast, and my Diet Coke and my water and my backpack that I all bring. So I'm trying to get all that out. And guess what? My door just knocks me over, basically in the parking lot. I'm just yelling at air this morning, yelling into the void.
There is another option. You could wake up at 5 a.m. for your job that starts at 10.
Yeah, I should. Honestly, I need to. No, Josh.
That's what people tell me all the time. Well, you could just wake up earlier.
I could. I probably could afford to reconsider the layout of my day. You might be right. And so it's all being taken. It's all under review at this point. All right. Welcome to the show. Get in your opinions. We'll read them in an hour. Back with Robin Washut to talk about that disaster next on 1620 The Zone.
The Connor Happer Show. Follow us on Twitter @Happer Show for all the latest news and views. We may even say something interesting once in a while.
Unlikely.
Really, guys?
When it comes to concrete repair, Everlevel has some serious game. Coach Greg McDermott here to coach you on why you should choose Everlevel Concrete Repair. They've got the fundamentals to fix your cracked and uneven concrete, and their products will give you the best defense against future damage. It's a fraction of the price compared to replacement, and their solutions come with a long-term transferable warranty. Working with Everlevel is a slam dunk. Call Everlevel Concrete Repair today for your free inspection.
The biggest basketball coaching convention of
Can work on your skill set while you listen.
What?
You don't want them there? Yeah, I'm talking.
What is going on? Robin, are you okay?
Robin Washut.
Are your kids near you, or what just happened?
Husker Online.
I took a lot of preparation to make this thing a flawless interview, and clearly I still can't avoid it.
Robin Washut. Husker Online.
Maybe it was aliens. Maybe it was a phenomenon that we can't explain.
The Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
Well, maybe it was poetic in a way. The way the roller coaster slowed to a stop last night in Columbus, Ohio. Or maybe it's still crawling somehow. Robin Washut joins us now on the hotline. Robin, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Late night last night.
Yeah. Yeah, a 3-hour basketball game will do that. That starts at 8 o'clock.
Yeah, I gotta love it. Could be on Easter time though, so it's always could be worse.
That's true. Those people in Columbus didn't get home till about 1 o'clock in the morning but at least they saw their team win, I suppose, right?
Some of them, guys like Casey, made it out there, and they did not see their team win. So I guess it's depends on who you are, whether or not you enjoyed that late night.
So last night, Nebraska generally they play well enough to win the basketball game. They still, once again, did not start the game very well, but picked themselves off the mat and had multiple chances to win it, whether it was in regulation, overtime, double overtime. And so most of these losses this year, you're looking at them and you're saying, God, Nebraska, they just did not play up to their standard. I'd say generally last night they played kind of up to their standard. Maybe they were just beaten by the other team. Is that an oversimplification of what happened last night?
To an extent. Defensively, they had some issues. Again, they dug themselves into a double-digit hole right out of the gates and had to climb out of it. And, that inherently makes winning much more difficult. And, this time, as they've done in previous games, they were able to climb out of it and had every opportunity to win that game. And Ohio State played well, but so did Nebraska. I mean, Nebraska shot 50% from the field, and Bryce Williams had a record-setting performance, and Juwan Gary had one of his better offensive games. Connor Essegian finally started to see some shots fall, and so all the things that Nebraska usually needs to happen to be successful were happening, but for whatever reason, every time it looked like they were about to make a run and get some separation, Ohio State came right back, and guys like Bruce Thornton, John Mobley, they're really good players. So they stepped up and made big-time plays at the biggest moments. And then, I know there's that side conversation about some of the calls and non-calls that maybe swung things one way or another. But in the end, despite all that, Nebraska had every chance. They're one made free throw away from Bryce Williams at the end of regulation to win in that game. And, there are a couple stops at the end of the first overtime when they were up, 7 from winning that thing. So, there's some things that didn't go their way. They had some unfortunate calls go against them, but in the end, this is another example of, Nebraska having a golden opportunity to either punch a ticket or go a long way towards punching a ticket to the NCAA tournament that they just let slip through their fingers. And that's again been the storyline of this entire season, that the what ifs are a lengthy page of just missed opportunities Nebraska had and just couldn't maximize it when they were there.
What was the biggest officiating snafu to you? Was it the one at the end with the sideline out of bounds? Was it the flagrant that was called on Bryce Williams? Was it the non-technical or not even really noticing when the Ohio State player slammed the ball into oblivion, which is pretty much a technical every single time? Which one made the biggest difference? Which one was the biggest deal to you?
Yeah, I mean, I know the last inbound play, there's discrepancy on what the rule actually is, if you need to maintain a pivot foot, but
there's some gray area in there at the very least.
The way I read it is basically you have a 3-foot kind of box that you have to stay in on the sideline. You can move your feet as much as you want. So then the debate becomes, did Parrish's feet leave the 3-foot box? And, I had some guys on Twitter kind of point out that
people are measuring seats, Robin. Yes.
Yeah. A courtside seat is 36 inches, which would be 3 feet. And if you look at his, Parrish's feet, they seem to go beyond 2 courtside chairs. So if that's the reference point you want to use, then it should have been a violation, and Nebraska should have had the ball with 3 seconds left with a chance to win it. But, they didn't. The technical or the non-technical was the one that bothered me the most, just because that was like the most egregious. Like that's not like a judgment call. Like it is like the letter of the law that, the first slam of the ball, okay, like guys do that.
Yeah, because he caught it.
But then,
he caught it the first time.
Yeah, then like Gronk spiking it and the thing sails over the hoop and you just let that go when you're calling, a ticky-tack incidental contact flagrant 1 on Bryce Williams that led to a 4-point possession for Ohio State. Like that's the stuff that drives me crazy. And then like the out of bounds where, it was hit and they said that there was enough evidence that the ball hit Connor Season's hand and went out of bounds.
Didn't take a close enough look at that one.
Yeah. Like that was crazy. So I don't know, man. Like there's a lot of them. I guess the non-technical call, again, that one bothers me the most, just because like I don't know how you argue that it wasn't a technical, whereas at least the others, you can maybe make the objectivity call about whether it was a foul or not.
I have no idea on this on the out of bounds with the the travel thing with Parrish. I have no idea how they called a foul on Ulis. I still like.
Oh yeah, even before that,
because that was the call, right? Like that was the call on that possession that ultimately stopped the play. And Hoiberg was looking at the the inbounder to what you just explained. But I don't I don't know what Ulis did to draw a foul, especially before the ball is inbounded. So he's not, it's not a play on the ball. Usually something has to be really egregious in order to, get a foul called before the actual inbound pass is made. So that's the one I didn't get on that same play.
Well, and just it kind of goes along with just the kind of state of, I'm sure beyond Big Ten, but I watch Big Ten basketball, so Big Ten officiating, where so much contact is allowed in certain situations, but then the slightest of touch is a foul in other situations. It makes no sense to me where, like, in the paint, Bryce Williams was getting hit in the mouth and getting banged around. Juwan Gary clearly got fouled with no call. There was some, like, really obvious contact that they let go, and that's fine if you're calling the entire game like that.
Right.
Then Raleigh Looster picks up, like, 2 fouls in, like, less than a minute on some, like, touch perimeter hand checking calls, and I'm just like, what are we doing here? Like, are we going to allow contact or not? You can't expect players to be physical and have to play through contact in the paint and at the rim where the slightest of touch is going to get a whistle on the perimeter. Like that's the kind of stuff that just drives me crazy.
Where are things at right now going into this Iowa game and then into the Big Ten tournament? Theoretically, I suppose, if they get into the Big Ten tournament.
Well, the chances are about as slim as they've ever been, as far as making the NCAA tournament, and for them to even remotely survive, they have to beat Iowa. Like, the season is on the line. The postseason, or at least from a NCAA tournament, maybe even Big Ten tournament conversation, starts and ends with beating Iowa. So let's say they take care of business and beat Iowa on Senior Day at home. Then, I think that you make the Big Ten tournament. You're probably the 12 seed playing the first game of the day in Indianapolis. I think right now the 13 would be Rutgers. So we'll see. There's so much that's going to shake out over the next few days, but that's kind of where things stand right now. Technically, there is a scenario where if they lose to Iowa and get a whole bunch of help with these remaining other 13 games, they could, like, through tiebreakers, still sneak in to the Big Ten tournament field. But I mean, again, you need a lot of things to go your way, which I don't know if you really want to bank on that. So if they beat Iowa and they get to the Big Ten tournament, then I think they have to win at least 2 in Indy to get back into the bubble conversation. Right now, based the most updated bracketology, Nebraska is now officially on the wrong side of the bubble. Most of the ones I've looked at have them as the first 4 out, right on that line between the first 4 out and the next 4 out. So, that's a tough spot to be in with 1 game left. So you got to beat Iowa. And, like I said, you probably got to win 2, maybe even 3, depending on who you're beating in Indianapolis to, really feel good about your chances come Selection Sunday.
All right, Robin, we'll let you go. Appreciate it as always. Hopefully the roller coaster, well, I don't know. Maybe the roller coaster keeps going, theoretically, but we'll see how it shakes out. Talk to you later.
Yep. See you.
Robin Washut, HuskerOnline.com. Let's spread out a little bit and talk about it when we return. Mitch Sherman will join us at the bottom of the hour. We'll still take your opinions as well. Back after this on 1620 The Zone.
Let's get back to the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
Oh, it's that time of the year. The girls basketball state tournament is on our favorite channel, News Channel Nebraska. The dudes with the suits and the jackets. Currently, we have the 4-5 matchup in a class.
I believe it's C1.
Gothenburg and Bridgeport, and Gothenburg has taken the lead 17-0 with 2 minutes and 40 seconds to go in the first quarter, and there's another turnover by Bridgeport. What happened to Bridgeport? Bridgeport is absolutely imploding.
Gothenburg up 17-0 in the first quarter, running a full court press.
Yeah, you have to. You got to put it on them.
Don't let Bridgeport get anything.
Bridgeport took a timeout to do a hockey line change. Bridgeport traveled 5.5 hours to Lincoln in a blizzard just to be losing 17-0 with 2 minutes to go in the first quarter. How did they get there? How did
the interstate's closed?
Did they stay the night last night?
They had to have gotten there a day. Look, who's paying for the hotel rooms for these?
Right.
Girls?
I mean, theoretically, you're playing a 10:30 or 10:45 game. You know what time you're playing, and it's a 5+ hour drive from Bridgeport, basically the Scottsbluff area, to Lincoln.
I mean, if they got there yesterday by like 2,
you definitely, yeah. I think you definitely arrive. You definitely have to arrive the day before.
Yeah.
If that's the case. Gothenburg is a little closer. Maybe they could have, woke up at 4:30 this morning. But like you said, Josh, the interstate's closed. I don't know what's going on. Anyway, still 17-0. We'll let you know when Bridgeport puts them on the board. But right now it doesn't look good. Gothenburg's just they're just swarming them. Josh,
I'm sure a team has ended the first quarter of a girls' high school state tournament game with 0 points. I've personally never seen it.
Now, usually before the shot clock era, it was like 6-0,
right,
or something like that. In this case, there is a shot clock now, and sometimes if you shoot it, you're going to make it. So 17-0 is your score. Bridgeport's just they're trying, man. Trying to find a way.
We'll find something. Nebraska starts slow, and sometimes
they just turn it on.
Yeah, maybe Bridgeport has the switch.
Maybe this has been an ongoing conversation with Bridgeport all year long.
Mm-hmm.
Like, maybe we just start bad. We just start poorly, and as Nebraska basketball did last night in a 116-114 double overtime loss at Ohio State, which featured Bryce Williams literally breaking the single game record for most points scored by a Nebrasketball player in a single game. By the way, Bridgeport's at the line. Come on, knock her down. Oh no.
Now you're in your head. Now you're in your own head about it.
Yeah, I know, because there's a big fat 0 on the scoreboard.
Right. You didn't come this far just to come this far.
We'll stick with you here until she makes this. Or until she shoots it.
You can't wear number 23 if you're.
Come on, MJ.
A little high arcing.
Oh, God. She missed them both.
Yeah.
All right. Still 0 points.
I can't look away.
Still 0 points for Bridgeport. All right. 116-114. Nebraska had many, many opportunities to win the game. And I don't know if it's poetic or I don't know how you look into it, Josh, but we were discussing it sort of with Matt there on the crossover. Generally, they played well enough to win. It did follow the classic Nebrasketball formula of we're just going to take 15 minutes here and play like absolute dog crap. Like we're going to not. I don't know. I mean, it is such an indictment on this team. I don't know how they continue to play that poorly right out of the gate. But so there's two conversations here. Like the other one, let's put aside for a second. Because like I said, I think they played generally well enough to win the game. And you had a pretty good offensive performance. Something that, a week ago you scored 46 points on your home floor.
Total
in the whole game. And that was 40 minutes. This was 50 minutes. And you somehow got 114 and you got 43 from one guy. 43 from one guy. But it doesn't, what sense does it make she's back at the free throw line.
She missed the first one.
What sense does it make to you that they they don't play hard out of the gate? They have to be punched in the face in order for them to wake up, or they have to be yelled at by Fred Hoiberg. She made it. She made it. 20-1, folks. 20-1. All right. Comeback's on for Bridgeport. Or it'll be 40-2.
They have been punched. Bridgeport has been punched in the mouth.
So Bridgeport's got to respond here.
Oh, 20.
Gothenburg.
They are hot from three.
Raining threes. I don't get it. I don't understand why they have to be so reactionary. We've said it all year. They are a front-running team. They appear to get up for big environments. They appear to get up for teams that have certain names across the chest of their uniforms. But in games where all the circumstances are for whatever reason not right, or that the perfect winds don't blow in, Nebraska just doesn't have it until they have it, until they are punched in the mouth a few times. You're going to get up now? You're going to get up now? I'd stay down if I were you. And then they get up. It is confounding. And so if you're Fred Hoiberg, he's basically said this all year long. If you're Fred Hoiberg, you're thinking, I can't do it with these guys. Mm-hmm. And that's why Nebraska basketball fans want to get off the ride. They want the ride to be over. It's a shame. But I mean, we sort of broached the subject last week. People don't like the Nebraska fans don't like their team. And they really shouldn't.
It isn't fun. There's nothing to root for other than the Nebraska of it all. I mean, your coach is punching whiteboards, and that doesn't keep you motivated. You fall into the same pitfalls every single game. You can't be. It's a cute little quirk in January when you're winning, but when it's crunch time and it's March and you can't string together 40 minutes, I guess they did string together 40 minutes last night, but it was a 50-minute game or whatever.
Repeatedly. Every single game, to have them not come out with the amount of effort. Clearly, they're just not defending, and they're just not bringing the right effort and focus to the table.
I can't imagine what that under 12 timeout is like, or that every single game. You guys, you're not doing it.
Once again, this has been a thing all year, but it really came up when Fred broke the clipboard at Northwestern. And what happened at Northwestern? They woke up enough all the way to come all the way back and win the basketball game. And I thought, all right, that was perfect. They've learned their lesson. Mm-hmm. You got a little scared straight.
Yep.
You almost had a soul-crushing loss, all because you didn't show up. You didn't bother showing up for the first 20 minutes of the basketball game.
Should have been the turning point of the season.
And you got out of there with a win, lesson learned.
Yep.
Done. And then they stay out on the road, and 3 days later, they go to Penn State and do the same crap, except for it's the whole game. They don't play hard once. They allow 50 points by the time halftime rolls around. They get beat by 17 at Penn State. They're like, whoa, how did that happen? Michigan, you had the energy, you had the intensity, and what your shortcoming was your shortcoming. Right? Your team-oriented shortcoming. We just don't have enough offensive weapons to be able to do this. And that's okay. That's something that you can live with. Right. So you're like, okay, deep breath. Maybe we got it back. Minnesota, first 20 minutes of the game, you don't bother to show up on your home floor. Ohio State, first 10, 15 minutes of the game, you don't bother to show up, and your season's on the line. So what the hell is going to happen against Iowa? I don't know. Is it just because it's there was a giant swath of the Iowa game where you just weren't there, the first time around when you played them in Iowa City, and Peyton Sanford just went ham for 15, 20 minutes to bring them back in the game. I don't know what's going to happen, but the bottom line is you can't trust him. And I'm listening to Fred Hoiberg, and I'm shaking my head the entire time. I'm sitting there like, yeah, Fred, you get him. Fred, you tell him, because it is a nightmare to watch this team. And I don't know what else he could say or what else he could do. How much more wisdom does he need to be able to impart on this team to be able to convince them that their season is on the line, or that they are good enough, or whatever they need to hear to get themselves in the right position? I don't know what it is anymore. And I think Fred's tried all of those things. So that's one half. That's the first 10, 15 minutes of the game last night. And so you've dug yourself in a hole. And then the other parts, you got some calls that went against you, obviously. You got some incredible shot making by Ohio State. You got some incredible playmaking by your own team. You went back and forth, and you kind of just lost a basketball game from that perspective, you can kind of live with it.
Right.
But when people talk about, oh, I hate when we have this stupid conversation, like I hate to focus on Jack, but like he always is talking about.
He's the embodiment of the problem, right?
He's always talking about how bad officiating matters and stuff like that. Like, of course it does. But what people are talking about is the position that you've put yourself in over a long period of time to end up in the position where you might get beat by a guy who just makes shots one night and it's everything. Or you might get beat by a bad call one night and it means everything. You had margin for error and you forfeited it. You just gave it up for nothing. You didn't have to lose that way at Penn State. It didn't have to happen.
Right.
It didn't have to happen the way you lost to Minnesota at home on this past Saturday. You didn't have to lose to Iowa in overtime. You didn't have to lose to Rutgers on your home floor. You didn't have to lose to USC on your home floor. Right? Like all of these games you're looking back on it now is like, oh yeah, that was our margin for error and we blew it. We just forfeited it. We gave it up. And so that's what people are talking about when they're saying, I don't want to hear the crap about the officiating today because you gave it up. You gave it up. You put yourself in this position, not just in the game last night, but for the entire season and how it ended up coming down to 1, 2, or 3 games at the end of the season. This sort of moving target of getting into the NCAA tournament. And you've now blown 2 opportunities in a row. And for all I know, you're probably about to blow the 3rd. Like you can't trust it. And so that's why people have a distaste toward this. That's why Nebraska, I'm not even talking about like people who already don't like Nebraska, like Creighton fans or something like that. I'll talk about Nebraska fans. I get it. I get why you don't want to be on the ride anymore because the ride sucks.
Yeah, this has not been a fun ride. And yeah, you got hosed by some calls last night. Do you feel better? Do you feel better that I admitted it on the radio?
Yeah.
No.
Talk about it. You got to talk about it. You got to talk about it.
Does that change anything? No, it doesn't. Is a letter from Indianapolis this afternoon saying, yeah, you got hosed going to make you feel better? No. You need your team to play better. Did it make you feel any better
when they did it during football season?
No,
absolutely not.
You need Barricade to not be a huge albatross on this team. Like
helpful.
You need to get up for the first 10 minutes of a game the way you do the last 10.
But we could talk about the officiating if you want.
Sure. Yeah, he moved like 4 chairs.
People that were counting the chairs. I'm like, all right. All right.
You cracked the case.
It's the whole thing about the call on the sideline is it's a judgment call, right? It's this nebulous.
It was terrible judgment, Connor.
It's this nebulous sort of zone. Like it didn't look great on TV, that's for sure. But once again, I was initially like, where's the foul? Everybody started looking at the guy who was running the sideline like a basket had just been made, but he was on the baseline. And I'm like, where was the foul? Why was the play blown dead? And I watch it back on replay and I'm like, well, I didn't see that. They called Ulis for, I have no idea what they called him for, but they called Ulis for something. And that ended up being the foul on the play. And yes, it's pretty much an automatic technical every time when the dude bounces the ball into outer space. Usually after the first time, when you bounce it back into your hand, the ref will come up and he'll be like, all right, enough. All right. I don't want to do this anymore. By the way, did you see Diebler after the game in the line? So Diebler, Jake Diebler, the head coach of the Ohio State Buckeyes basketball team, maybe not for that much longer, but definitely is right now. He's leading the handshake line, and he's got Bryce. Bryce Williams, Nebraska basketball player, game leading scorer in Nebraska basketball history now. He's got him and he's pulling him aside and he's telling him whatever he's going to tell him. And, it kind of goes on for a little while. And so everybody's kind of stacked up behind him in the Ohio State line. And Diebler turned around and he snapped it. he snapped at one of his assistants or one of the first players in the line. He goes, enough. So maybe somebody was trying to get after Bryce right there in the handshake line. I don't know what that was.
No, this guy's good.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't
good
know
with
what,
me.
I don't know what they were doing. There was 800 people at this stupid game.
But God, it looked beautiful on Peacock.
It did look good.
It looked so well lit, like as an arena.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, it did. It did.
Also, Fred Hoiberg hates this team, right?
He absolutely hates this team.
He hates this compilation of players.
They're 100%.
He would like to get off the ride.
I think so too.
He's hurling coming around the last corner of this roller coaster.
Okay, so but the other thing is you built this though.
Yeah.
Like you put this thing together.
Yeah. You reap what you sow.
I'm sorry. You didn't get so.
I mean, you're at the mercy of the portal a little bit. We've talked about that earlier in the week, but his roster construction is always weird.
Yes, and from a basketball perspective, you can live with what you have, assuming that the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. It has to be. It has to be. And it was because it was last year, right? And you had more weapons last year and all that stuff too. But the whole was greater than the sum of the parts last year because I don't know, the team played like they liked each other and like they liked basketball. This team, I'm like, do they like basketball? Are they enjoying themselves?
Yeah.
And I don't know, I think
it's a question worth asking, honestly.
It's probably hard to see that coming from a long ways away. You get these guys in the portal, and I don't know. Like I said, though, I'll remind people the Burke one. It's just not. I don't know. I just don't want that guy. I don't want that guy. I do not want him, and I don't want him for the price they got him at either. That's for sure.
I mean, he only played 19 minutes.
I know. That pretty much tells you.
Yeah.
I mean, Fred last night clearly went with the method of we're going to find 5 dudes who play hard. Damn it.
Yep.
Or so help me God. and they did. And number 9, whatever he is. Number 9. He wasn't one of them. And he still fouled out anyway. Right?
He did. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know. It's obviously questionable roster construction, but how they look, we thought the same thing with Creighton this year too. It's I don't know if these pieces really make sense. You got,
we
Ashworth
say that every
and
year.
Pop and Jemiah. And what are they doing? What are they supposed to do? And guess what? They figured it out. And the chemistry was right. They have good leadership. I don't know that Nebraska got the chemistry right or has great leadership. And so maybe from that perspective, it's not a surprise to see them slide off the way that they have here. But I don't know. Hell, they still might make the NCAA tournament. There's 100 must-win games in a row, and you don't win any of them, and you still could find your way to the NCAA tournament because that is life in 2025.
Do they make the NCAA tournament?
No, I don't believe they will.
I don't think so either.
I do not believe that Nebraska will make the NCAA tournament.
I think they're going to pack. I mean, I don't think they're going to
go into the Crown,
but I think they're going to
off to the Crown we go. The Crown. Not on Peacock, sadly.
It's going to look all blurry.
Sam writes in.
Hi, Sam.
Imagine building a flawed roster with shallow guard depth and then losing one of your 2 crucial guards and then the guy best at making shots out of nothing and the guy best at making shots out of nothing and then just coaching through it and making the tournament anyway. Interesting. I mean,
still possible.
Yeah, but Creighton's in the Big East, and the Big East is bad, right? So
yeah,
that's that. All right, we're back after this with Mitch Sherman here on 1620 The Zone.
we had a 3-year run. In a perfect
Who do you want to talk about first?
Mitch Sherman, The Athletic.
He can play. And we need people that can play.
And we'll never be royal. Let me live that fantasy.
Mitch Sherman, The Athletic. On The Connor Happer Show. On 1620, The Zone.
He can play.
All right, we're joined now on the hotline by Mitch Sherman from The Athletic. Mitch, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm fine. How are you? That's the better question. You actually had to go outside.
Yeah, we made it. We made it. And looks like the wind has probably died down a little bit here. It's still a little gusty. But
I'm tempted. I don't know. I think we still got a couple hours left.
Yeah, I get it. It's easy for me to say as I'm just peering out the window with no threat of the wind hitting me. But it looks okay out there, except for the many piles of snow that appeared overnight.
I had a big pile of snow in front of the exhaust pipe for my furnace. So my house started getting very cold.
Oh,
I had to go out and dig. I had to go dig it out. So that's the only time I've been outside. And once I dug it out, then the heat came back.
And you never the snowplow that you bought. What is that called again? What do we call?
It's a snowblower.
Snowblower. Yeah. That's right. The snowblower that you bought recently and that you were excited to use broke immediately and still has not been repaired, right?
No, it's been repaired. I had it fixed.
Oh,
I had it fixed after the couple snows that we got last month, and it's going to be used today. I will use it here. Probably, I'm waiting for the wind to die down, but I think by 2:00, I'm going to be impatient and get out there and go for it.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Okay, and then maybe this will be it. We can you can put it away for the summer. Theoretically,
we hope.
All right. So yesterday, actually, before we talk about football, do you have any comment on Nebraska basketball's season spiraling to potentially its conclusion last night in Columbus?
I mean, this may sound blasphemous, but do we even want to watch them in the NCAA tournament at this point?
Not really.
I mean, I do. I say that somewhat jokingly, but it's it's all of the experiences are very painful and infuriating, frustrating. They played hard last night to come back, kind of like, I don't know, what was another recent game where that happened and they came up short? Michigan, I think that happened, but you can't just dig yourself into a double-digit hole every game. If you do that, you have to expect that bad things are going to happen. And at the beginning of this recent trend, when it happened against Washington and Northwestern, and Nebraska won both of those games, I think we had a misrepresentation in our minds of like what this could be. But it evens out, and it's generally going to go bad, as we've seen for 2 or 3 weeks now. And last night was another example. You kind of take control out of your own hands, and they put it into the hands of the officiating crew, and things didn't go their direction, which tends to happen when you're on the road.
Yep, they are definitely not good enough to just voluntarily erase their margin for error before games start. That was a theme for the last couple weeks of the season here. Okay, so on to the coaches from yesterday: Mike Ekeler, Addison Williams, Terry Braden, speaking to the Nebraska media. Hey, let's. By the way, we have I think we have the clip somewhere in here of Terry Braden just saying hello to you. I don't know if I have it readily available for me, but did he surprise you yesterday, asking everyone how they were and things like that mid question?
At the beginning, the first time he did it, but then I was prepared. I think I was the second question, and I was prepared, so it didn't catch me off guard because he had just done it 30 seconds before, and he just bounded into the room full of energy. So you could kind of see that coming. I mean, I really liked his vibe. I think he's going to be good for the defensive linemen. Like, it's a young group, and I think he's what they need. Well, and these are all premature observations. Like, we're not saying that Terry Braden's going to send 5 guys to the NFL in the next 3 years just because he was entertaining in a press conference and had a lot of energy. Like, this is, we make an observation based on what we saw in the 10 minutes yesterday, and then there'll be more to gather in spring practice and as they get into the season. And he made a good first impression.
No doubt. Ekeler, we already knew what the impression sort of was on him, but the question was always going to be unanswerable for him yesterday, which was, all right, how do you take this thing that nobody has really had success with over the last several years and embrace it and have success with it? And I don't know. He was impressive in that regard yesterday. I sort of believe him when he explains his process. What'd you take away from Ekeler and what he might bring to the table right away here?
Yeah, I think he's earned the right to kind of have the swag that he comes in with, and to talk about how I've been everywhere, man. And when you can't just you can't, if you're a newcomer to the coaching profession, like if Terry Braden, who's not a newcomer to coaching, but a newcomer to college coaching, or if Rob Dvorak, when he started at Nebraska 2 years ago, had offered up the praise for Matt Rule that Mike Ekeler did at the beginning of Eckler's comments to the media yesterday, I think he would be taken differently than it is with Mike Ekeler. Those are some pretty heavy words that he spoke, some pretty impactful words that he spoke about Matt Rule, and in calling him maybe the best leader that he's ever been around. When you think about the coaches that Mike Ekeler's been around, and I don't generally think that Mike Ekeler is the kind of guy who's just out there spewing, propaganda. Like, if he says that about Matt Rule, I think at this stage, and they've only been working on the same page for a couple of weeks, but I think his observations and what he said, he means that he's very impressed with Rule, and it's a tough, there's a high bar there. He just came from working for 4 years with Josh Heupel, who has taken Tennessee to the CFP, and the list. He's been with Bob Stoops and Bill Snyder and Ogeron and Lane Kiffin and Mark Richt. Like, it's a who's who, Les Miles of coaching. So to hear that from him, I put a lot of, that meant something to hear it from him.
He doesn't seem like the kind of guy who would fake it or would want to fake it.
Yeah,
or
why would he?
Yeah, right. Like there have been some coaches who have come in and said stuff like that. Is like, wow, this is the best whatever I've been around. And maybe to a certain extent, Ekeler doesn't know, like he doesn't know the actual answers to these questions yet. Like he just got here, but he's the kind of guy that will definitely throw himself into being the special teams coach at Nebraska and believe in himself and believe in the people around him as well. Like if it's not true now, he'll convince himself that it is true. And that's why he can't fake it.
Yeah. And to that point, he's seeing Matt Rule kind of where Matt Rule is most, it can be viewed as most impressive. Like Rule has even said it himself that he loves this time of year. He loves being up in front of his coaches and in front of his players, and he can talk like pretty much nobody else in the coaching business. So it'll be interesting to ask Mike Ekeler, and I don't think that, I'm not saying we're going to get a different answer, but it'll be interesting to ask Mike Ekeler to kind of go back and what do you think about Matt Rule after you've been with him for a year? I think he'll still have positive things to say, but we should remember in evaluating his comments that they've been together for a couple of weeks, and this is what he's seen Matt Rule do is where no one is expected. No one is surprised at all that Rule thrives in like this kind of stuff.
Addison Williams is another guy that brings, he brings a whole bunch of different experiences, I think, with him to the table, and he inherits an interesting room as well. I guess, what did you think about him yesterday? And, all these coaches, really, the situations that they inherit are interesting in various ways too. And then you combine the personalities with the rooms and you try and figure out how it works. But what'd you feel about Addison Williams just first five yesterday?
Yeah, he might inherit the best situation of any of the new coaches. I'm thinking with Da'Keel Shorts and the wide receivers, like they're in a pretty good spot right now, but he was the first to say that, yeah, they haven't done it yet on the field. Even at most of his guys haven't done it yet on the field at the college level. A couple have, Hunter and Dane Key, but with the DBs, there's a lot of guys out there who have done it on the field, and in both the group of returning players at Nebraska, and then at least in the case of Andrew Marshall and a newcomer coming in from the FCS. So I think he's in a good spot. Talking about Addison Williams, I think he's in a good spot going into the spring, and he's had a little more time too because he got to evaluate some things in December during the bowl practices. So that should help quite a bit as he's not going to have to get up to speed as much when spring practice starts on March 24th. He's seen some of these guys in action. I like what they have in the secondary.
Mm-hmm.
I think as long as they stay healthy, they're in a position to play everybody at the spots that they are best suited to play. And that became a problem last year for Nebraska after Tommy Hill was injured. I think they potentially have a lot more depth this year of players who are ready to go and be corners and help Nebraska at corner in the Big Ten, like what you need from that position. So that's all a positive sign for Williams. And of course, we'll be interested to see how he kind of takes that experience that he's had as a defensive coordinator and uses it to his advantage with this system.
Okay, Mitch. Well, next week it'll be Matt Rule, and in 2 weeks after that, it's spring ball. When are you throwing BP outside for the next time you do this?
It's probably going to be a couple weeks, and it's supposed to be in the 70s next week. But I don't throwing inside is fine.
Okay,
and we got to get outside to do other stuff, but BP in that controlled environment in the cage, I prefer that anyway. So it's going to be a couple weeks. I mean, this snow has set us back, I think, because even with the weather warming up, like now the ground's frozen again. So it's going to help next week to be in the 70s, and maybe I don't know, maybe the week after that, we'll see some people outside.
All right, set the bar low. We'll see what happens after that. Mitch, thanks as always. We'll talk to you later.
Okay, thanks, guys.
Mitch Sherman from The Athletic. Yeah, I'm a little concerned about this weekend's baseball activities. We were kind of waiting we were kind of waiting just to see how this snow went. Yeah, thank you.
What was it like?
Right. And I don't know, like it
wasn't.
I guess I don't know how much snow we actually got.
I think it was about 3 at the airport. I think it was less at my house.
I think it's probably on the higher side of what was expected, and then what can get burned off before, because I think my guess would be not anything official. My guess would be that we're probably not going to be playing baseball around the area here on Friday.
Okay.
So you'll try and, UNO, Creighton, Nebraska, will try to squeeze 3 games in 2 days, Saturday and Sunday, if they can. But once again, Saturday, you get really iffy just depending on your snow situation, your snow clearing situation. But I'm hoping. We're praying, Josh.
Got to burn it off.
We got to get there.
Burn, baby, burn.
All right, we're back with the odd news. Don't forget to get your opinions in for I Have an Opinion coming up here in just a few minutes. But first, the odd news next on 1620 The Zone.
I'm a fabulous driver.
The Connor Happer Show
I'm one of the best friends you could ever have in your life.
on 1620 The Zone.
I hate you.
And now we've reached the point in the show where Josh Odson reads the peculiar, the bizarre, the comical, the odd news with Odd Son. Odd news, Odd Son. See what we did there? The odd news with Oddson.
Let's make it odd, baby.
Oh, we're gonna today.
What do we got?
Friend of the station, Marty Smith, hosts Marty and McGee. We usually talk to McGee every College World Series.
Okay.
He's in town.
Yeah. I bet Marty's probably come on the show, various shows.
I'll bet
before.
Marty has been on the station before. Absolutely.
Yeah. Marty Party.
Yeah. Everyone loves the Marty Party. And last night, he was at the Weirdo Golf Simulator League. I guess he works that.
Did you see the ratings for the Weirdo Golf Simulator League?
There's like 160,000.
That's right, Josh.
It's like Paw Patrol level ratings.
I mean, yes.
During last night's episode of TGL, the Jupiter Links Golf Club versus Atlanta Drive GC, if you want to get specific.
Totally, thank you.
Celine Dion was in the audience, and she was interviewed by the Marty Party in question.
Celine Dion was there?
I don't know why. He asked the 5-time Grammy winner, which song from your catalog best represents your golf game?
Oh, wow.
Great question
That's
from Marty
an
Party.
on-the-spot deal, though.
And Celine Dion thought about it, and
she's doing okay?
Yeah, she seemed to be
all right.
Better than maybe the last time everyone saw her.
Yeah, I was worried about her for a minute. Still worried about her, for the record. I really care about her.
That's right. People were shouting suggestions during Marty's interview, so I don't know what the setup was really, but she said, "My Heart Will Go On," which led to the two of them singing a duet of "My Heart Will Go On" together.
Well, you got to do it.
And she said he did pretty well, and he said, "I'm coming to Vegas with you, baby."
That's awesome. Good job by Marty. Well done by him.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's right. The TGL Monday's match between the Los Angeles Golf Club and the Bay Golf Club, which is normal. This is at 2:00 in the afternoon on ESPN2. It averaged 160,000 viewers.
Admittedly odd time, but
yeah,
whatever.
The one in the evening window got 291,000 viewers. Still bad.
Very bad.
Turns out nobody actually wants to watch this. Turns
Whoever
out
could have told them this.
Yeah, let's what they did. So remember when they made Live, and they were like, people want to do this, and then everyone was like, no, they don't, by their viewership ratings.
Mm-hmm.
And then the rest of the people who didn't go to Live are like, what if we were like Live? And that also is not working. It's weird. I wonder why.
I like the renegade attitude of Live, but I don't like the blood money. You got anything for me, ESPN?
Nope. Stupid.
Now I expect a full 12-minute breakdown of this on Unsportsmanlike Conduct this afternoon, but before that, we'll give you the short version. Did you happen to see the George Mason Holy Cross baseball game last night, Connor? No. Why would you have watched a George Mason Holy Cross baseball game?
No, this is from a couple nights ago. The 23 runs in one inning thing?
Yes.
Yes. And 0 home runs, if
Correct.
I'm to understand this correctly.
Correct. George Mason made college baseball history on Tuesday by scoring an NCAA record 23 runs in one inning during their 26-6 victory over Holy Cross. A mind-boggling feat that was made even more mind-boggly by how they did it. They scored 23 runs in the bottom of the second. It included no home runs, no triples, and only 5 doubles. George Mason piled up 11 hits during the frame, but Holy Cross helped out by walking 8 batters, hitting 5, and committing 3 errors.
Yeah,
19 consecutive Patriots reached base.
You know who I blame for this?
Society?
Bill Simmons.
Okay.
Holy
show
Cross alum.
Oh, okay.
Right? Doesn't he always talk about how he went to Holy Cross and enjoys Holy Cross things?
That would be you and the other Josh who would know that.
I've listened to enough podcasts to hear him talk about Holy Cross a couple times. I think that's right. Anyway, I blame him. Get a pitcher who could throw a strike, buddy.
That's right.
How about you donate to a little bit of the NIL cause? You own a whole company.
Yeah.
You make a lot of money from Spotify every year.
Go to one less game a year and give that money to Holy Cross.
Yeah.
Help out the alma mater.
I know you like going to the Celtics games with your dad and kid, but give up one of those seats and give it all to Holy Cross baseball.
The LA Kings suck. Stop going to their games. Donate to NIL.
It's unnecessary. You don't need to do that.
The previous record for most runs in an inning was 21, belonging to the 84 Wichita State Shockers and the 1983 Penn State Nittany Lions. The MLB record is 17 runs in an inning, set in 1953.
Do you think Holy Cross is let's check the college baseball RPI.
Ooh.
I have been going to Warren Nolan a little bit recently to get my stats straight for my baseball prep this weekend.
Is Warren Nolan the Ken Pomeroy of college baseball?
It's a good sorting tool.
Okay.
It keeps all the things in one place for me, like the schedules and the scores and the RPI.
Okay. That's important.
Who are we looking for? Holy Cross.
Holy Cross. HC.
Whoa. Holy Cross. Here's how screwed up their RPI is right now in baseball. Holy Cross RPI 29.
That sounds pretty high. Am I an idiot?
It is pretty high.
Oh, because Holy Cross is playing a bunch of world beaters.
Correct.
Because they're Holy Cross.
They actually beat Auburn in a game. They lost 2 out of 3 to Auburn, but they beat them once, and that'll help your deal.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
There you go. But losing by 20 to George Mason, probably not so good.
Finally, we go to Tiffany and Company. Have you heard of Tiffany and Company?
Tiffany, the jewelry?
Yes, that's right.
Okay.
A Texas man posing as a representative of an NBA player stole diamond jewelry worth $750,000 from Tiffany and Company, according to police. Investigators allege that Jathan Gilder, 32 years young, appeared late last month at a Tiffany store in Orlando, claiming to be there on behalf of an unnamed Orlando Magic player.
Orlando Magic.
He was escorted to a private viewing room where he was shown a diamond ring and 2 sets of diamond earrings. While discussing the purchase and a wire transfer with the sales associate, Gilder allegedly jumped out of his seat, grabbed the jewelry, and bolted for the door. There was a scuffle soon after, and the worker managed to get the ring out of Gilder's hand, but Gilder was able to recapture everything and make it to a getaway vehicle, a 2024 Mitsubishi Highlander. And then police followed, chasing that vehicle. And when the chase came to an end, police say they noticed the suspect swallow several items.
Oh, no.
After being taken into custody. They scanned his stomach and found out that, yes, the Tiffany diamonds are in his stomach, and they are awaiting extraction of those items.
They're not going to go get them. They're going to wait for the diamonds to come to them.
That's right. They're going to wait it out.
All right. Yikes. Which Orlando Magic player was he trying to represent?
It said an unnamed. We don't have that name.
I mean, these athletes right now, there's been a lot of stories of athletes getting taken advantage of.
Yeah, getting robbed and stuff stolen from them all the time.
Gosh, you gotta be careful out there.
Dangerous time to be an athlete.
I guess so. Josh, thank you.
Thank you, Connor.
It is time for I Have an Opinion. We have a couple opinions. We could use several more. Send in your opinions to @Happer Show and the JTech Constructions on Twitter feed. That's probably the best way.
Definitely.
But we'll find it if you leave your opinion with us. And if we don't, you could yell at us at the end of the segment and say, Connor, you didn't read my opinion. And then we'll read it if it's appropriate for on-air reading.
Yeah.
Those are the rules.
There's always stray opinions in the segment afterwards.
That's right. Those are the rules. Now that I've explained the rules, you could play. Back after this on 1620 The Zone.
This is the I Have an Opinion song. Haven't done an intro yet. Need to get on that.
Yeah. All right, it's time for I Have an Opinion, which requires you to state your opinions and send them to us. By the way, we were commenting on a Class C1 girls basketball game from earlier, Gothenburg and Bridgeport, the 4-5 game, and we were sort of laughing in the direction of Bridgeport being down 20-0 to start the game. It was literally 20-0. Mm-hmm. It is now 56-49 with about 5 minutes left. So,
hello,
watch out. We will keep you updated on that.
Gothenburg blew a 20-0 lead. Print the sign.
Classic C1 girls basketball state tournament, always keeping us entertained. All right, Josh, we got opinions from people.
We do.
We could use a few more. Please continue to send those in. Quickly before we get to those, I do have some breaking news to pass along.
Oh,
Nebraska ace Mason McConaughey will be out the remainder of the season.
Oh,
yeah.
That's not good.
No,
Connor.
it is not good. You thought I was going to say something funny or weird,
Yeah.
but
this is real
it's
news.
actually just real sad news.
Okay.
He will there's an undisclosed. I mean, usually when it's that, it's probably elbow or shoulder surgery, but no more Mason McConaughey for the Huskers.
What a kick in the groin. This university is cursed.
Nobody has known more pain than I have.
Mm-hmm.
Don't worry. All right, what do we got?
We begin with Old Man Doug.
Old Man Doug?
Mm-hmm.
He's got opinions? I've never heard that before.
Well,
it's the first time I'm hearing about this.
Buckle up, bucko, because here we go. He did not respect the format, though.
No,
I want to be clear about that.
He actually just wrote in, he wrote it in the subject line of his email.
Okay.
I have an opinion.
Okay.
That counts.
Yeah. I retract, Old Man Doug. I have an opinion, actually several. One, the networks are not giving enough time to play basketball games in a 2-hour time frame. If there is a 12 p.m. start it at 12 or 12:03 at the worst. It really ticks me off.
Nice.
The fans who are watching are recording their team in the later games.
Yeah. So there's only so much you can do when there's a game right before you. Right? Like a lot of times, let's say the coverage for the day starts at noon on a Saturday. A lot of times that game will start at 12:01 or 12:02 or something like that. Like it'll be right on right away just so they could get out in front of whatever else they have for the day. There's nothing pushing it behind. But the reason that we have TV slides most of the time, not all of the time, most of the time, is because there's other games going on right before them and they don't want to crossover coverage and all that stuff. And still, we have 2-hour long basketball games. We have 2-hour and 15-minute basketball games. We have 2.5-hour long basketball games. Last night between Nebraska and Ohio State, we had a 3-hour long basketball game. Nearly. Luckily, there wasn't a game on Peacock afterwards.
Yeah. It's Peacock. Go as long as you want.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Although I really enjoyed it. I mean, Peacock was lit last night. I watched the first half of Nebraska, and then I watched the last 2 minutes of Villanova and Georgetown with Johnny Fanta and Nick Baugh.
What a pair.
And that game ended, and G-Town won, and Villanova is probably going to have to fire their coach. And I went back to watching Nebraska. It was a great night on Peacock.
Now, I think this might be part of Doug's first opinion.
Yeah, Doug,
Number 2, reviews are taking way too long.
Is that like the way you say good?
No, I don't think it is.
No, I don't think it is either. It seems very serious. Reviews are way too long. I agree completely with this. Reviews are too long.
Okay.
Reviews are too unnecessary.
Mm-hmm.
Reviews shouldn't happen in the first place. Reviews are being used inappropriately by Kelly Pfeiffer when he just goes like this the second he makes the call. Like
players got to stop spinning the finger.
I know. Stephen Ashworth.
Coaches, stop trusting your players. If they spin the finger. He spun the finger.
But they go. If it's under 2 minutes, they're going over to the replay deal. Yeah, it's not good. I hate it. But we've already opened up this can.
Mm-hmm. Right.
It ain't going back anywhere.
Opinion number 3 from Doug.
Doug is full of opinions.
Backwards hats are stupid.
Backwards hats, like wearing hats backwards?
Uh-huh.
Or is this in regards to the conversation?
Oh, now he did not
upside down letter hats.
Maybe that's what he's talking about.
Backwards, like you just shouldn't wear backwards hats.
That's a Colin Cowherd take.
That is an old man opinion.
Uh-huh.
That is an old man opinion. I have no other opinion on that opinion other than that's a very old opinion.
Now, Nebraska fans, listen to opinion 4 from Creighton Honk Old Man Doug.
Mm-hmm.
Number 4.
Yeah.
Oklahoma is the worst bubble team of all time. They should be nowhere near the bubble. These are the things Husker fans should be saying.
Yeah.
Loudly.
Yeah.
For all to hear.
Yeah.
5.
But yet they hate their team.
That's right. 5. Playing games, don't listen to this part, Husker fans. Number 5, playing games should not count as an NCAA win, as they expanded the tournament too much the way it is. Cut back to 64 teams like it was 10 years ago. A 16 seed versus a 16 seed shouldn't be counted as an NCAA win, nor should an 11 or 12 versus an 11 or 12 should count either. This is why they're called play-in games. Only wins when there are 64 teams left count.
Yeah, but Doug, I mean, I'm sorry. Like it's a win in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
You're in the NCAA tournament and you won. I get it.
I agree with the spirit of Doug's argument, but he is factually wrong.
But once again, think about this functionally, how it works. When they put it on the banners in the arenas, there's not a banner that says years in which we have won an NCAA tournament game, and then it lists all the years. It's saying NCAA tournament appearances, NCAA tournament round of 32, NCAA tournament round of 16, Sweet 16, Elite 8, Final Four, national champion.
Did we have this conversation on air?
I think we had it
off air?
We either had it off air or on a crossover one day.
But what Nebraska will have to hang a banner of some kind to acknowledge that they have a tournament win.
Well,
but what is that banner going to say?
Well, assuming that they do it.
Yes.
Ever.
Yes. that is also part of this. This argument took place a couple of weeks ago when it looked like, okay, they're all right. They're good.
So I'm trying to think in my head right now of what PBA's banners look like. They have an NCAA tournament appearance banner. And then I would assume whenever they do win an NCAA tournament game, it would say round of 32. But if it happens to happen in a play-in game and they only make it to the round of 64, maybe you do something to commemorate that in and of itself. Like you write 2025, if it happened this year in Dayton, 2025 first four winner or something like that. Like I think you want to commemorate that by itself.
It's not an apples to apples comparison, but I specifically looked at this at Baxter on Saturday night for this conversation. There are a lot of banners hoisted high above Baxter Arena that say regional appearance, and it has the year and the location. Now you can't say regional appearance because they've appeared.
Yeah,
before.
you can't put the winning year on the same on the same banner. You have to make it a different banner. It becomes very difficult.
It does.
I don't know. So you hope that when it happens, it just happens in the round of 64. So that way they go to the round of 62 or 30.
Do you hang a banner that says first four victories 2024 or first?
Yeah, I think something like that. Yeah. First four. Now, if you lose the first four game, you just put it in the appearance category, and then you forget it ever happened. And if it happens to this team, that will definitely be the case, because people they'll just be like, "All right, thank God it's over."
O-Trips with an opinion.
O-Trips.
I have an opinion. The midterm exam I just took was extremely stupid.
O-Trips is of college.
He's young, very young, of course. You'd be a damned moron to think anything else.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry to hear that.
What was it in, O-Trips?
Yeah, I hate tests. Mm-hmm. Did you study, or were you too busy watching Jays basketball? Or are you too busy being in Russia?
Don't take this as disrespect, O-Trips, when I say this. O-Trips seems like the person that does not study because he's just naturally a little smarter than the
Does O-Trips study? Poll question.
Good poll question. He comments on YouTube, it was a business stats class. See?
He sounds like a smart guy.
Yeah.
He sounds like a smart guy. Should I get some texts here?
Yeah, what do you got?
All right, here we go. John, I have an opinion. You only get one opinion per email, even if you sponsor the email.
Well.
We take all of the opinions here in the show, Josh. There's no such rule that says that.
We're not going to cap opinions.
If you got a bunch, like, would I prefer that you curate your opinions and really think about them so much so that you only are able to produce one opinion? It's like what's the handmade artisanal opinions, if you're mass producing opinions, chances are the opinion is going to be of less quality. The Dorito opinion, even though Doritos are awesome.
Great take.
But nobody's arguing that they're high quality, Josh.
What if we capped Connor's opinions on the show each
No,
day?
same rules don't apply to me.
Can't
Josh.
okay.
Same rules do not apply to me. I'm the boss. We're one of them. Josh, you're the boss. By the way, old man Doug has a follow-up.
IOMD.
To be clear, backward letters on hats are stupid. And,
okay.
And to be clear, they're not backwards, they're upside down. Right? The letters are upside down, not backwards.
Right.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure we got that one straight. Here's Pedro.
Hi, Pedro.
Hi, guys. I have an opinion. I believe that the person that gets a chance to start with a layup and go on until they move to the half-court shot should be able to start at the half-court shot first and then do the three-pointer and then do the free throw and then do the layup. Should be up to the shooter.
Go in instead of out?
No, why?
Well, yeah.
No, it's not up to the shooter. It's a game.
Yeah.
We make the rules, Pedro. Okay?
They want the
Connor Happer is the rules.
They want the drama of the last shot, like, clock's ticking down.
Yeah.
And
there's a certain amount of pressure of making a layup too, right? Like, you got to be an idiot to not make a layup. And then all of a sudden the people get out there and they get a little shaky. That's part of the fun.
And then there's the secret rule of you only actually get one attempt at the half-court shot.
Yeah, people forget about that. Josh. Thank you for reminding them. Chris writes in.
Hi, Chris.
I don't know. You might have to help me on this one.
Ooh, okay.
I have an opinion. Ham is not a top. Ham is not a top. Now, what is Chris trying to say? Is it that ham is not a topping? In that case, I would have to wholeheartedly agree with you that ham is not a topping. Maybe a salad topping. It might
like a chef salad.
Yeah, ham is a topping on a salad. Can be like little diced up ham.
Yeah.
Or is he trying to say something else entirely? Is he trying to say that something is a top? What is ham? I don't know, and I hope to not get a follow up.
I feel like you got a little excited and sent the email before it was done.
Ham is not a top.
But
I've received a text.
I desperately need closure on this loop.
Is ham a bottom?
That's what I was thinking.
Well, I think if it's not a top, then it becomes a bottom.
Well, it's one or the other, right?
You have that opinion. Brian.
Hi, Brian.
I have an opinion. If we're not counting a win in play-in games as a tournament win, then it shouldn't count as a tournament appearance since you didn't make the round of 64. No. Well, like, okay, so how are you going to have a tournament win without a tournament appearance? You know what I mean?
It's got to, yeah.
You got to have a tournament appearance to have a tournament win.
You do.
I think it should count as a tournament appearance.
Mm-hmm.
I don't love that it exists.
Correct.
I don't love that it exists, but I've never really had to think about it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? This is the most I've ever.
I don't think you have to think about it this year either.
I don't know, Josh. This is the most I've ever had to think about it. UNO is a potential play-in team.
They've seemed to risen above the play-in in a lot of people's brackets.
Yeah, they're actually maybe a less likely play-in than Nebraska is at this point. Although neither of them are very likely, it seems, for different reasons. But this is the most I've ever thought about. I've ever
Definitely.
grappled with the possibility of any teams that I care about being in one of these stupid games. Because usually, like, they're on, and I'll watch them, and if the game gets good, and it's the 2-11 seeds or whatever, I'm like, okay, let's do it. Sure.
I'm scrolling Twitter and they're talking about the 16 versus 16 matchup. And I go, oh yeah, that's tonight. Even though I do a segment where I tell you what's on TV every single night.
I know.
And that is included in it.
But it'll like start before you get home from work.
Uh-huh.
And you're just like, I'm not ready for this yet. Yeah.
And then like, oh, they're talking about the 16-16. Okay, I'll watch the 11 versus 11. Or sometimes it magically morphs into a 12 versus 12 at the end of the selection process, which always confuses me.
This is more of a question than an opinion. Did Chris have some sort of medical emergency in the middle of typing that text?
Great question. Is Chris okay? I Googled ham is not a top and a bunch of like,
ham is not a top.
Here's the things you need to know before picking out a ham articles came up.
Maybe that's the direction that Chris was headed with it.
Don't
We'll
know.
never know. Text from the 402.
Hi, 402.
I have an opinion. Nebraska MBB should stop allowing people to pay money for tickets and instead simply allow a donation of canned food, because we're already donating our time only to feel miserable afterwards. When they decide they want to win games again, they can reintroduce monetary transactions.
Feels a little harsh, but
well, it's either that or cancel the program. Josh, turn it into a hockey program.
They always say it should be a hockey team.
That's what they always say, too.
I don't know why.
And then when Nebraska football gets bad, they say, Trev, where are you? Please cancel us. Just like you did for our sweet, sweet babies over there in Omaha. Look at them now. They're flying higher than they've ever flown before. Maybe Trev was right.
Trev gets to hang the I did that stick.
Charles.
Hi, Charles.
I have an opinion from YouTube. White chicken chili is the whitest of all chilies. I believe that's both
literal and figurative.
Yeah, functionally true and figuratively true. I think that's right. I don't really eat white chili.
Oh, let me tell you all about it, Connor. White chicken chili. Did
they feed you a white chicken chili?
One
at
of
the
them
Chili
was
Fest?
a white chicken chili.
Did you take away points from that white chicken chili?
I did not, but I will tell you, this was a blind judging. The cooks did not see us. They did not know who the judges are. We did not get to talk to them. I'm going to guess this cook said, man, this chili ran a little thin. I'm a little disappointed in the
watery white chicken chili.
Yeah.
Yikes.
So it didn't come out very well.
Get some heavy cream in there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's what you should have told him. Needs more heavy cream. Signed Josh Hodson.
I know chili. I have teeth.
Charles.
Hi, Charles.
Has another opinion. Empanadas are an underrated or underappreciated, rather, food. I mentioned empanadas earlier on in the show. Empanada is a great food.
Good take.
I love empanadas. Don't have them very often, but I do. When I go to Costco, I get the big box of frozen miniature empanadas. They're like the mini tacos.
Mm-hmm. How many of them are you eating at a time?
Is it a meal or is it a snack?
Because
let's go. It's a viable meal or a viable snack.
I would go breakfast this morning. How many did you have?
I think
breakfast?
I had 6.
Okay.
And that was enough. That was enough.
Was that a meal or was that I need something in my tum-tum? Or I get
halvesies.
Hangry. Okay.
It was like a halvesies.
Okay.
And then I also had 2 slices of corned beef. that I cut off my corned beef brisket from a couple days ago. It was an unorthodox breakfast. It was an unorthodox morning. We get a snowstorm on March 5th. All right? Sue me. What else do we have here, Josh? I know we got a couple more.
Ken on the YouTube stream.
Ken?
Who was polite enough to point out that Toyota makes the Highlander, not Mitsubishi. Ken, I just read the teleprompter. Pull the curtain back.
We found out that Mitsubishi has a car called an Outlander.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what the story meant.
I would imagine so.
But thank you.
Yes, I do genuinely appreciate
Who was
that,
this
actually.
again?
This was Ken.
Ken, for calling out the either inaccuracies or inconsistencies in the reporting from the Odd News.
You have to hold these outlets accountable.
Absolutely.
He has an opinion.
Many of them are horrible garbage blogs.
Yes. Or listicles.
I
have an opinion. Chili should not have beans ever.
That's your opinion?
No, that's Ken's opinion on the YouTube.
Oh, okay. Disagree. Bad opinion.
I ate 12 bowls of chili at a chili cook-off. I think I only had like 2 beans.
Did you get a shirt to commemorate this, by the way?
I did. Full-Fledged Brewery was nice enough to give me a T-shirt because I asked for it.
Did it say chili cook-off?
No. It was just from the brewery.
I think you should have a shirt that says, I judged a chili cook-off. Ask me anything, or something like that.
That's good.
Ask me about my chili cook-off. Burner writes in.
Hi, Burner.
On the email. OMD is Old Man Doug.
Uh-huh.
All right, I've just identified this.
I sometimes call him that because it's quicker.
I have an opinion. Old Man Doug is aging at a rate in excess to the rest of us. Judging from his LinkedIn profile, I am older than Old Man Doug, and even I view Old Man Doug as a fossil.
Oh.
He is long-winded and is getting angrier and angrier by the month. Was probably the first guy to wear waffle stompers in the 70s and yet calls upside down lettering on hats lame. Burner. Burnwa.
Wow. Asian
What
Joe.
do you think about the oldness of Old Man Doug?
I like Old Man Doug. Okay, he's a nice guy.
I did too.
He's
and I think at a certain
with.
point too, he has a reputation to uphold.
Uh-huh.
But I do believe that those are his opinions.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. I do not understand getting angry about the upside down letters hats. That was not just Old Man Doug. That was many people on the upside down letters hats day. That was weird. I don't know why it became such a old versus young thing.
Well, style, fashion.
But I get it, but like, why did you have to be mad? Like, people were mad at it. It's a hat with upside down letters.
Not everything's for you.
Yeah, like the Super Bowl halftime show.
I have an opinion from Asian Joe that I'd like to read.
Okay, please.
I have an opinion. Cole's cash should be legal tender at a gentleman's club if all parties consent to it. Yeah, I think if
all parties consent to it.
Yeah.
If
absolutely.
you would like to strip for Cole's cash, then you should be allowed to do that. Like if I told my company that I don't want money anymore, I want Cole's cash.
What's that? We have a new contract for Connor.
Do you think they would honor that? Do you think they would honor that request?
They would like you to sign this piece of paper and not think about it, Connor. Because they would pay you in Cole's cash.
Yeah, maybe. I guess they probably would, right?
Yeah.
As long as it was commensurate to the amount of money I was supposed to be making. Like, we have to figure out the conversion rate for Cole's cash.
You
to
can't
dollars.
buy everything you need at Cole's.
That's true. That's true. I wouldn't want to work for Cole's cash.
They don't have a lot of food items.
I would, if this contract was placed in front of me, I would not work for Cole's cash.
I don't think Cole's is handing out mortgages either.
No. Cole's would have to pay me a lot of Cole's. They would have to pay me a lot of Cole's cash.
Yeah.
Because I make a lot of money. Because I'm very rich. As we
know.
have previously discussed. From the 402.
Hi, 402.
I have an opinion. Connor doesn't give a rat's you-know-what about the Section 220 boys.
Oh,
Here come the
no.
Section 220 boys again.
What would you just acknowledge these fine people?
Where is Section 220?
Wow. I must be in the front row. I'm Connor Happer.
I have no time. All right. So, okay. So if I do this on Saturday, and on Saturday, if I have a second, if they give me a media timeout off, which is possible, I haven't seen the script yet, and I go up to section 220, and I just stand at the front row of 220, and I say, "Where's the 220 boys at?" Somebody will respond.
I would assume so.
Okay. All right. Just keep that in mind. I guess it's the last chance on Saturday.
Yeah.
It's a whiteout. People forget that. All right. The texter says, yes, sir.
Okay.
All right. Section 220, boys. We'll see if they're there. We'll see if they're there to respond.
You won't remember this.
Sam writes in a very good point. Happer came up to section 228. I did. I did a whole bit. I did a whole thing. I think I did the wine game from section 228.
Wow.
I almost didn't make it in time. I was out of breath. It took a long time to get there. I've received a text. Jay's live from section 220. Fire emoji. Where are the section 220 boys at? These are from some of the people that are in charge of Jay's live. Maybe they'll put me in Jay's live in section 220 with the 220 boys.
They better.
Yep. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see who's in real control of Jay's live after a little while. All right. Josh, is that it?
That is all I have at this moment in time.
Okay. There will be the spare opinions, as there always is. We'll get to those and more. We should talk about some Creighton basketball too, because they played.
They did play. They won.
Coming back on 1620 The Zone.
He has the latest sports news, expert analysis, award-winning commentary, and a pocket full of cabbage.
Can you give us an indication why?
Just in case there's a sauerkraut emergency.
Let's get back to the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
Very funny. Very funny.
TBS.
This week's Zone deal is to Site One Brewing, a local brewery that creates a unique experience within their tap house where you could explore a variety of ever-changing locally crafted beers that are delicious, I would add. 25th in Farnham in Omaha, $50 in gift vouchers for just $25 this Friday at 9, 1620thezone.com, or you could listen to on Sportsmanlike Conduct. They will have some $50 gift vouchers to Site One Brewing for $0. That's 100% off for the next couple days. Creighton last night did not travel home from Seton Hall, probably for the best.
They have touchdown now.
They are back.
Yes.
John Bishop is in the building.
No.
I was actually thinking while watching the game last night, John is in probably bad shape right now. They've been on the road since Friday.
Yeah, they didn't come home.
Yeah. I hope he brought enough shirts, and then they got to stay another night. And he's probably not going home until after the show today. That's stretched out a little bit. So that's a long road trip.
And New Jersey, while nice, is not a fabulous locale where you can get some real sightseeing done. Unless you're going to take a Sopranos tour.
Yeah, unless you want to take the train into. I don't think anybody was really doing that. So, yes, we'll catch up with John this afternoon. Creighton, they beat Seton Hall. They made 11 out of 21 three-pointers last night, which was a welcome sight. Jackson McAndrew made 5 of them. Stephen Ashworth made 3 of them. Jason Green made 2 of them. And Creighton really controlled things after about the first several minutes of the game. It wasn't close after that. I have some questions. Seton Hall, what are we going to do with Seton Hall?
What do you mean?
What is Seton Hall going to do with itself? Seton Hall has been on this. So we've been on. They have 2 wins in the league.
That's it.
One of them is against Connecticut, hilariously enough. But every team plays them, and they're like, and the opposing coach says, "God, I just think the world of Shaheen, and I think this guy is really good." And I think they mean it when they say that. Like they get their teams to play hard, but then they're like, there's just some things that are out of his control, aka their NIL sucks, and they have none of it, and it's going to be very, very difficult for them to compete. Even in the Big East Conference, where it's not like you need this giant NIL war chest to be competitive. I don't know what they're going to do. I think their route is probably just to keep fouling people for the rest of eternity. Just keep getting Dylan Adewusus and just have them run into people.
Maybe I can get your guy to throw a punch and your guy gets ejected. And maybe then if you had one less player, we could win.
Yeah, I guess that's the idea.
Connor, they're 423rd in points per game.
Josh, I actually feel bad for them. This is Creighton.
It's Seton Hall.
Creighton split the Big East with them in 2020.
Not that long ago.
It wasn't that long ago. Remember Mamu? He was balling. He was hooping. It's not good. 306 in adjusted offensive efficiency, and remember that's adjusted for conference, for opponent strength, right? They're not in a low major conference, Josh.
They're not.
They're in a high major conference. They are one of the worst offensive teams in America.
They're 402nd in assists per game.
How do you be 402nd? Why do you keep saying these things?
Just reading it off of ESPN.com.
400? There's only 360 some teams.
Not according to ESPN.
ESPN, what is AI doing? Wait, where are you getting? Seriously, read it to me. What is it saying?
It says under the 2024-25 team stats section.
Yeah.
It says points per game, 62.2, 423rd. assists per game.
That's not right.
11.2, 402nd. Rebounds
Are they
per game,
counting? Are they counting NAIA teams?
I don't know.
Are they counting NBA teams?
Every level.
I don't know what's going on.
I'm gonna expand this and see how far we can get it to go.
Maybe
I can get an answer for you.
I don't know. I don't know. That's not true. But they're in trouble. They had Kadari Richmond last year, and they were still running into people. And then Kadari Richmond was like, I guess I'll go to St. John's. And even Rick Pitino, Mr. I want to kill myself all the time, has lamented at many points this year. He's been like, yeah, I kind of like feel bad.
Well, I mean, that's a guy who loves the Big East, right?
Right.
Like
he does.
Romanticizes the conference.
100%. And so he kind of like felt bad for taking Kadari this year. It's just like, oh.
I mean, he wanted money.
I
got plenty.
It looked rough. It looked rough.
All right.
And then they're playing all this weird house music at volume 100. I don't know what's going on at Seton Hall.
Got to rattle the cage.
I do feel bad for Shaheen. I think he's probably a pretty good coach. At the same time, his rise was very quick.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, he had the 1 year at St. Peter's and then just ended up being the Seton Hall head coach.
Remember
at
St. Peter's?
a historically bad time to be the Seton Hall head coach.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if he's good or not. It seems like he gets his guys to play hard, but they are in bad shape.
I have some updated numbers.
Okay, thank you. Could you please tell me the truth?
Seton Hall is 362nd in points per game. Third
I believe that's
worst
last
in the conference, in the nation.
Yeah.
Wow, it's a lot of scrolling to get back up to the
I don't
top.
know where the 423rd
I don't
is.
either.
Okay.
I just read the prompter. I don't know how hard. I can't explain it any other way.
Well, you said it the first time, and I kind of glazed over it, and I'm like, hang on. Can you bring that number up again? 400 and what? Yeah, it's tough times out there. Tough times. I don't know what to do. I feel bad for him, but also I don't. Sam writes in, he says, I think you'd rather be DePaul at this point. Better NIL.
Sure.
And better facilities. I mean, yeah, I guess so. You probably would be. And I think, I think Holtman will get them straightened out a little bit. They'll be more competitive than they have been. Talking about DePaul now. Sam also says Prudential Center looks so dead on my non-crisp FS1 feed last night. True story. It looked rough in there. It's bad. So yeah, I wanted to do my thing where the rest of the Big East coaches are doing right now is like, my thoughts and prayers are out to my guy, Shaheen.
Respect to Shaheen Holloway.
That is the new respect to Ed Cooley, because you don't probably have to respect him that much anymore because of how things went. So
does he look good in orange?
Respect to Shaheen. Respect to Shaheen. Elsewhere for Creighton, like I said, Jackson McAndrew making 5 threes was good. Kind of interesting what's going on with Jemiah Neal right now. He's not really scoring, but he's making a lot of plays for other people. He's playing really good defense. He oftentimes gets put on the top backcourt scorer for the other teams. At this moment, at least, I know Creighton likes to kind of invert those matchups sometimes, so Jason will end up on him. But it was a step in the right direction for them last night. And luckily you get to finish off the regular season here with a team that you should handle with a pretty emotionally charged senior day on Saturday afternoon / evening as well. And so maybe you can take a couple hot shooting games into Madison Square Garden. Obviously that would be the goal.
My not very good, very obvious basketball take.
Shooting better is good.
Yeah, well, yeah, I like Jemiah Neal.
Oh, you like Jemiah Neal? You like his vibe?
Something about that guy. I like him.
I
don't know.
I do too. He has a great personality.
Also, while we're praising the shooting, 3 offensive rebounds.
What?
That's been another sore spot for this team.
They only got 3 offensive rebounds.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're not going to do that. It's not their deal.
Clearly.
I mean, I'm getting, people, they'll remain nameless on the show, but people will, they're getting settled in to watch some Nebrasketball last night, and they're watching Creighton. in advance.
Sure.
And I get a text and it's like, "Hey, did you know that Creighton has the least fouls that have been called against him in the country?" And then there was some Seton Hall honk that was tweeting about this last night, talking about how Creighton doesn't get fouls called against him, like it's some conspiracy theory. And I had to every single night we have to explain to these people, like,
Yes.
this is just how it works.
That's how they play.
Yeah, it's how they play. They're not aggressive. They literally funnel everything into tall tree man, and they've built their entire defense around him. It's called playing to your personnel. They're not aggressive on the defensive side of the ball. And frankly, they don't draw that many fouls either because they're not particularly, they don't have slashers on the offensive side of the ball either. Kalkbrenner gets fouled probably than what gets called against him. But I'm like, yep. Uh-huh. Yep.
Yes.
That's kind of how it works. It's the same thing with offensive rebounds.
Okay.
Just kind of not their style. You'd like to see them make more. And they're going to have to make more hustle plays when it comes to close games and in the Big East and in the NCAA tournament. But
that's sort of my concern with it all.
A lot was made last night too on the broadcast about Creighton, how they feel like they need to get that Big East tournament title. I'm not sure how much of that is the conversation right now. It was interesting to hear that out of on the broadcast last night on Not Crisp FS1. But they were like, yeah, I think they got the pieces to make a run and finally get that elusive Big East championship. They made a whole graphic with it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then they were like, yeah, I think they got the pieces to get to the Final Four too. And like one guy, the play-by-play guy Faust was like, he kind of tried to tee Donnie Marshall up to say that Ryan Kalkbrenner was the player of the year in the conference, and he like wouldn't do it. This is like 2 games in a row where Donnie Marshall wouldn't do it. He's like, yeah, I don't think you probably got to give it to the top of the conference, but yeah, Kalkbrenner is really good. All right, we'll be back to finish out the hour with a little television, not like TV shows, sports TV shows. A big change in the sports TV landscape coming this late spring and into summer. After this on 1620 The Zone.
Upon further review, the host's last statement was deemed to be somewhat comical. Somewhat.
The Connor Happer Show returns in minutes on 1620 The Zone.
Upgrading your home has never been easier or more affordable. John Bishop here for your home improvement company. Need new windows? Here's an unbeatable deal. 50% off your window purchase. Minimum of 4 windows. A deal you don't want to miss. And easy financing with 0 down, 0 interest, and 0 payments for 12 months. Or transform your space. Upgrade that bathroom to a spa-like retreat. Save up to 30% off a bathroom remodel. And just like with the windows, no money down, no interest, and no payments until 2026. Call YHIC today.
Asian Joe writes in,
Hi, Asian Joe.
which Creighton team under McDermott has had the most fouls per game? I could take a guess without looking. I mean, it definitely. I mean, let me pull it up real quick. So every year in the Kalkbrenner era, they've been like basically number one in the country. So this year they're number one, least fouls. Last year they were number one. 22-23 they were number two behind Colgate. 21-22 they were number 7 in the country. So then we get into some trickier territory. I would imagine 35th in 2020, 2021. And so top 37 in 1920, 93rd in 1819, 18th in 1718, 42nd. I mean, they're always basically top 100 in the country. It's never really, it's never been the kind of defense that is going to push up on you and, try and get steals and runouts and stuff like that. It's not a pressure defense. It's just not how they play. They know they have to play on scheme because most of the times they lack the athleticism to be able to really push up with teams and run with them. And they want to save a lot of that gas for what they do on the offensive side of the ball. So what was the year that I said was it 18-19 that had some more fouls called on them? Well, they had some Christian Bishop in there.
You have to go all the way back to 18-19?
Yeah, they had some fouls called on him in 18-19.
That's like 110 years ago. 210 years ago.
Yeah, they were 93rd in the country. Still top 100, right? But 93rd in the country. So that team had freshman Christian Bishop. This was the team that went to the NIT. Yeah. Tyshawn, Davion Mintz, Martine Krompel, freshman Zagorowski. This is the group that ended up going to the NCAA, that ended up winning the Big East basically the next year. They added Denzel Mahoney. But anyway, I guess there's your answer. But they don't really push up on you that much. That's kind of how they play. And especially with Kalkbrenner, they've made that their complete identity. Josh
Connor,
Around the Horn.
Yeah, where are we going?
It's dead. A television show. I saw you yesterday professing your love to Tony Reale.
I do.
On Twitter. You were like, I love you, Tony.
He's a good human.
Is he?
Yeah.
How do we know this?
Okay, outwardly appearances on television, he plays a good moral man.
All right. What if it turns out that he's a real jackwagon
real
behind
monster?
the scenes? Yeah.
I guess that would surprise me. How about that?
Around the Horn, which has been I'm sure he's a great guy, which has been a staple of ESPN's weekday programming for more than 2 decades, will host its final episode Friday, May 23rd. It's probably going to be the day that we celebrate our birthdays around here.
Yeah, definitely.
4:00 Central on ESPN. Tony Reale in a rotation of 4 daily national sports media panelists who attempt to earn points and avoid being muted by Reale as they offer their perspectives on the biggest sports topics of the day. So I have a pair of questions for you, Josh.
Okay.
Well, actually, I just have one main one.
One.
Who's on the final panel?
Okay, assuming we're not going to hey, let's play 2 games or let's expand it to 10 people. We're just doing.
You get Tony.
Doing the 4.
Tony is the guy behind the thing, slapping the mute button, and you get 4 people. When you think this show, what do you think of?
I guess
there's one obvious one.
I guess it would have to be Woody Page.
Yes, absolutely. And then on his whiteboard, on his chalkboard, it says, "Thank you, Tony. You're a great guy. Yeah. You're definitely not a monster.
Not a monster."
Yeah.
I guess if we're going with the staples of the show,
it doesn't have to be. You know what? I'll allow you to personalize it to yourself.
Okay.
What do you want to see when you think of Around the Horn? which are the panelists that you think of?
I was going to say Woody Page, Bob Ryan, Tim Kalishaw, and Bill Plaschke would be the final panel.
Nice. But you love Bomani Jones.
But now you've allowed me
Yes.
to expand the universe of it all and people who aren't 90 years old onto the show.
I do. You named, I mean, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
You named the 4. I never knew, like, I don't even think at the time the show started, I didn't really understand the concept of.
Well, no one understands the concept of the show.
I didn't understand. No, it wasn't the concept of the show. It was the concept of like these columnists who work at newspaper, like they were writers.
Mm-hmm.
Like I didn't really understand what that was until I started to figure out sports media.
Okay.
I just thought Tim Kalishaw was on TV. But then I realized I hadn't seen Tim Kalishaw in my entire life. Who's this guy and why is he saying these things? And then I kind of started to get it. But I know Tim Kalishaw now because he was on Around the Horn.
Yeah. I would pick for just something I would enjoy watching, probably Bomani Jones, Pablo Torre, people who don't work at ESPN anymore.
Yeah, you love those guys.
Throw Mina Kimes
You
in
love
there.
Mina Kimes.
I do. Omaha's own Mina Kimes. And I don't know. He was always give me Kate Fagan. I'll throw a deep cut in there.
Kate Fagan, the basketball player.
I have her phone number. Should we call her?
Many of these people that you have suggested have been a guest on the show that you produce.
Yes, that's
half of them.
Not unintentional.
Half of them. It's interesting. Why didn't we call Frank Isola and get him on the show?
I know you love New York.
I do.
Maybe I should.
Why don't we call Frank Isola? Why don't we call Jackie Mack? Why don't we get her on the show?
I would like to see her on the last show. I know she retired from like everything, but
yeah,
I think the viewers would like that too.
Bill Plaschke. Bob. We knew about Bob Ryan before. That Bob Ryan was big outside of Around the Horn, but Around the Horn made a lot of these, helped make a lot of these people anyway. Definitely the first time I saw any of the people that it's the first time I saw Bomani Jones.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what he was doing before that, where he was firing off his takes.
North Carolina Sports Radio.
Really?
Yeah.
That's cool.
I don't think Jay Mariotti is going to be asked to be on the final show.
Didn't he get in trouble? Did he get canceled?
Many times. But that might be who Matt McMaster wants to see.
Oh, really?
Well, Chicago.
Oh, okay. I didn't even know he was from Chicago. Mike writes in.
Hi, Mike.
1620 should do their own version of Around the Horn.
Ooh.
Panelists, they come in and...
Who would be the host?
Well,
who would be the four?
Yeah, who would be the host?
Like, now,
who would be the host?
I think our staff is solid enough to like, hey, don't get your feelings hurt if you don't get picked.
Who would be the host of the show?
I don't know.
Does it have to be a current 1620 The Zone?
Mike, please specify. Now that expands it quite a bit.
Josh Odson hosting.
I'm hosting?
Yes. You are the Tony Reale of 1620 The Zone. Everybody loves you, Josh.
Well, we've walked a similar path in life.
All right, we'll work on that.
I'm also not a monster.
Work on that. We might have to put that together. All right, we'll take a break. So May 23rd is the last Around the Horn. We'll come back in the 1 o'clock hour. We'll hear from crazy old Mike Ekeler.
This guy.
What's crazy old Mike Ekeler up to? We'll find out next on 1620 The Zone.
let's get back to the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
Here comes the clown.
Hey, by the way, I feel bad about this. We missed this in I Have an Opinion. I know there's always some strays. This one came in at 9 o'clock this morning.
Whoa. Okay.
This is when I was in the middle of my own personal hell, which is being rushed and nothing was working in my life. And I received this email, and I flagged it, and I forgot I flagged it until just now. It's from Kip. I have an opinion. Chocolate is not candy. I know it is called candy, a candy bar, but candy and chocolate are two separate things.
Okay, so I think I understand what Kip is saying here.
Kip is saying that a chocolate bar is not candy.
When he hears
Which
the
is
word
true.
candy, he thinks
But what do you call
sweet tarts, nerds.
what do you call like a Hershey bar? I don't know if anybody gets a Hershey bar. A Crunch bar.
I call it a candy bar. Chocolate bar would also be acceptable.
I think that maybe this is what Kip is trying to say. Maybe we should probably start calling them chocolate bars instead of candy bars. It's not candy, to his point, but I do call it a candy bar.
Yeah.
Candy and chocolate are two separate things. I never have a craving for chocolate because chocolate is overrated and almost bad. I always have a craving for candy. I want something candy.
I would cautiously subscribe to this theory.
The other night I really wanted ice cream. And I got some.
Yeah?
I got nobody's mistaking ice cream for candy.
Sure. But what'd you get? Where'd you go?
A couple nights ago I went to Dairy Queen and I got a Blizzard.
What'd you get in it?
Peanut butter cup.
Peanut butter cup.
As always. And then a couple nights later I went to the store and I had to get a tub of cookies and cream.
Oh, okay.
That lasted me until last night. Jeff writes in, chocolate is candy, but candy isn't chocolate. Candy is definitely not chocolate. I don't know the chocolate. Yeah, maybe it's a subcategory. I don't know. It's a fair question. Okay. Anyway, welcome back. 1 o'clock hour, the Connor Happer Show. 1620 The Zone, 1620thezone.com. MJ says, hot take, chocolate is good.
I don't know what you mean when you say that.
Chocolate is good. By the way, did you see Joey's video last night?
I did.
Great video. Just watch it.
What a ride.
What a ride. What a ride. All right. Nebraska football, Mike Ekeler. He's the new special teams coach. He has got some things to say. By the way, yesterday produced so many moments of that give us the ability to make fun of the media or just have drops like on the show. There was too many to count, and there was too many basketball games on, so I wasn't able to get the full suite of the random things that happened at yesterday's press conference, which featured 3 new Nebraska football coaches. But there were a lot of opportunities, and we won't hear from him during this segment, Terry Braden, the new defensive line coach. So Terry Braden, he's got quite the presence about him. He's a defensive line coach, right? He has been with the Chiefs for the last couple of years. He comes into the room and he runs up to the podium. He gets up there fast and he doesn't wait for Keith to say anything. He doesn't wait, for anybody to give him the introduction. He goes, "Hey, I'm Terry Braden. I've been with the Chiefs for a couple of years. Said I'm super happy to be here. Love coach," whatever he said. And he said, "I'll take your questions." And then people start asking questions. And let's say Mitch will ask a question or something like that. And they'll say, "Hey, please introduce yourself." They'll go, "I'm Mitch Sherman from The Athletic." And Terry Braden will go, "Hey, Mitch, how's it going?" And then it was "I'm good. I'm good." Steve Sipple from the Husker Online. "Hey, Steve, how's it going?" "Hey, Sean, what's your name again? Sean?" "Hey, Sean, how's it going?" I love those.
So he came in with football energy.
Oh, he was hot.
And the room was not
He was hot.
matching his energy.
It's just, yeah. And they're not supposed to.
Right.
They're
And there's some bugaboos of where, hey, I'm still learning everybody's name. I'm the new guy.
Mm-hmm. So that was great. And then, of course, there's Mr. Energy, Mike Ekeler.
Mr. NRG?
No.
Okay.
Energy. This is answer number 1 right out of the gate. It was from Sipple, who he gave a fist pound. Old faces, good friends. Fist pound. Sipple didn't need to introduce himself. But the question was on the basis of, why have you made special teams your home? Why has this been an avenue for you as coach? A guy who's coached defense, he's coached in a lot of different places, but why has this worked for you? I thought it was a good question and a pretty insightful answer. Here is Mike Ekeler yesterday.
We had a 3-year run at Southern Cal in Georgia. It went 10-3, 10-3. 2 out of those 3 years, we were number 7 defense in the country. And both those years, I put a for sale sign in my front yard. We got let go as a staff at Southern Cal with Lane and then with Coach Richt. And so really, truly, that kind of sparked me into, I like to be on an island. And there's an old saying, my ass, my hands. And so that's where I like to go. And you know what? We play great on special teams. It's on these kids. We don't, it's on me. And so I like that. I like the heat. That's why I came here.
What do you think, Josh? What do you think of the new guy?
I didn't hear
that. Was his first answer to the first question after there was no opening statement.
I didn't hear anything after my ass, my hands.
Damn right, Josh. My ass, my hands. The idea is I am responsible for this thing that is its own thing.
I genuinely love that mentality, but
right?
What a hilarious way to phrase it.
The defense, I could be a linebackers coach or even a defensive coordinator, and I get fired if whatever isn't very good. And the same can be true for special teams too, but I don't know. It's a pretty rare situation when you have a really good special teams and then a horrible offense and a horrible defense and your coach gets fired, right? That's relatively rare.
Mm-hmm.
So you're in charge of what you have and you get the pieces that you get to. He talked about how he played freshmen and walk-ons at Tennessee, and it's all about taking this mentality to the next level. And so that leads us to our next statement. And I want to give a hearty shout out to our dear friend and coworker, Matt McMaster, on the scene asking this question. He asked a question about, the balance between technique and mentality, I believe it was. And it got a good answer. I think even you'll hear at the beginning here, it got the classic great question. Thank you for the question, Matt. We love to hear stuff like that.
You love getting that.
Here is Mike Ekeler making some sense yesterday.
In a perfect world, you got it all together, right? But truly, when you take the technique piece of it, right, which is that's everything. When you take that and you combine it with guys who run fast and who are super strong, well, now you got some great stuff. At the last place I was at, we didn't play any starters. We played all freshmen and we played walk-ons. That's what we played. And you know what? We did all right. And we were kicking it off to first-round draft picks. And you know what? Like I said, coming in here, I couldn't be more excited. And it's finding that right balance. It's giving guys, developing guys, because that's part of it. You get young guys out there and you get them out in the game and you give them a role. And they go start out there, they start making plays. And guess what? Then when they go out on offense, they go on defense, been there, done that. So you get a chance to see how guys respond when the lights are on. Some guys got deer in headlights, right? And you get to identify that. And some guys can work through it, some guys can't. If you're scared of the dark, it's probably not the spot for you.
He's always got a phrase.
I like that line.
He's got coachisms up and down the map here. It's fantastic. But I love the second half of that answer is one of my biggest problems with what happened last year around here. You know, I talked about it all season long. Obviously, they wanted to lean into their seniors and they wanted to lean into their old guys, and whatever. And I think at a certain point, Matt Rule felt like he had to take the reins of some things that were his coach's responsibilities, just because it felt like it was kind of veering off the path. And really what Ekeler was talking about just there is trust. Like, we recruited these players. They're freshmen, and we might not fully trust them yet, but there's no way to know what they're going to be like if we don't play them. There's no way to know what we're going to have here if we don't get an opportunity to actually see them in a game, full speed, and preferably games that matter. Games that matter. And so that was a really positive part about Nebraska going to a bowl game last year. You know, getting those guys in, having circumstances that sort of matter, but at the same time, like there's like, it's not the end of the world if you lose this bowl game. It's not the end of the world if you screw up in this bowl game, you know, whatever it might be, because at the end of the day, it's a bowl game. But him talking about development, I just think is a really, really important piece to this thing. And something that they didn't have a lot of last year. It was one of my biggest critiques and one of my biggest complaints about last year. Just, it didn't feel like it was leading us to anywhere. The first year, it did feel that. They went out there and they trusted those guys and they went for it. The second year was a little bit less of that, and maybe you'll see it a little bit more here in the third year, because frankly, I mean, they're going to have to lean on some young guys because the roster is smaller and they're younger. So I'm excited to see what that looks like for Mike Ekeler, who definitely will have some young guys on his units this year. There was another point. I really like this too. I don't have the clip, but Sam asked him the question. Like he was kind of leading him into it, and Sam goes, "Hey, so punt returns, like I think you guys had, paraphrasing here, you guys had something like 1,300 yards, you know, over the last couple of years, and you know, one of the best in the country." And Ekeler cuts him off, and he goes, 1,325. And Sam was like, yeah. And
I know the real number.
And then the follow-up was, how'd you do that? It's a great question. How'd you do that? How do you get good at punt returning? And like a lot of what Ekeler says is just not, it's not going to mean anything today. So we could sit here and Husker fans could sit here and get fired up about all the platitudes and stuff like that. Like, that's what the offseason is for.
I am.
Don't get me wrong. Josh loves it. He's going to make a lot of grunt noises to this stuff, but ultimately they got to be good at special teams, and they have to be good at football. But do
they even have to be good at special teams though? Just improved. I mean, you got to like make your field goals and stuff like that, but like
I mean, I think the minimum expectation is competency,
sure.
of which they've fallen drastically below that bar.
I'm not asking
over the last couple
for
of
greatness.
years.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I would love competency. They got to be competent on special teams. They have to do this, and maybe Mike Ekeler will find he will run into the same problems that many a special teams coordinators before him have run into, and I don't know what that is. But for whatever reason, the last few guys here just haven't been able to get it done. It's been bad. So maybe he'll run into those same problems, and he can't get it done. But the expectation is that he will, because he has done it before. Not that Ed Foley hadn't, but doing it at a high level and bringing the energy he's bringing to the table and the confidence I think that he's bringing to he's a guy that kind of walks around. He kind of walks around like the stretch line before the game, and he'll get in a dude's ear and he'll be like, "What's up, All-American?" You know, he's one of those guys.
You gonna win a Heisman today?
I feel like that's kind of part of what Nebraska needs. You don't want it to be fake confidence,
no,
but like you do want to walk on the field and act like you're the best dude out there. Nebraska needs a little bit of that too.
Most every staff has one guy like that, the hype man, the hype guy.
What's up, All-American? What's up, player?
Mm-hmm.
Feeling today? Better go give me a touchdown? Yes, coach. All right. Sounds good. Nebraska could use a little bit of that as well. All right. We are back after this. Still a couple more things to get to before we get out of here on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone. Bubble watch. Jerry Palm has updated his bracket today.
Oh, what's the Palm man saying? Does he call Selection Sunday Palm Sunday?
No,
Okay.
it'd be awfully self-centered of him.
It would.
He says the bubble faced a lot of challenges on Tuesday, with 10 of the 11 teams in action having to play on the road. The one home team that was a host of a double bubble game.
Double bubble game. I'm so mad I didn't think of that.
That was Ohio State and Nebraska last night. Before I get to those games, let's welcome Texas back to the bubble. The Longhorns looked like they packed it in after losing 6 of their last 7, but they came back to life last night, beating Mississippi State in overtime. Let's not get carried away, though. Off the wrong end of the bubble to back on doesn't put you in the bracket. Texas still has work to do in the conference tournament, but for that to be relevant, the Longhorns need to beat Oklahoma in the regular season finale. The only losers among the bubble teams on Tuesday were Indiana, who lost at Oregon, and Nebraska, who lost at Ohio State in the aforementioned double bubble game. And the one that hurt the most, San Diego State, at UNLV. On Jerry Palm's bubble today. Last four in: San Diego State, Oklahoma, Ohio State, and Boise State. First four out: Xavier, not Xavier, North Carolina, Nebraska, and Wake Forest. Next four out: Texas, Cincinnati, SMU, and Dayton. Dayton trying to head to Dayton this year. So, once again, the double bubble game, while losing the double bubble game is not, you don't want to lose a double bubble game. It's not a killer. And so yet again,
yeah, you don't like plummet, right?
Nebraska had a must-win game. You know, we did that yesterday. Hey, they got a must-win game tonight. Season's on the line game. And then we wake up after Nebraska inexplicably loses the season's on the line game, and it turns out that their season is still on the line.
They woke up alive.
I think so. Like, you can't say that they're dead given all the teams around them right now. It doesn't feel good. So, like we said 2 days ago on this show, the bubble. Funny enough, the bubble doesn't happen inside of the bubble. The bubble doesn't happen in a vacuum, Josh. The bubble is nebulous, and it moves, and it's static, and there's a lot of things that happen to the bubble. And so your results aren't the only thing that matters. I know Nebraska fans. I know how they work, and to them, they are the only thing that matters. It is quite the bubble inside of the bubble of Nebraska basketball fans. But everybody else looks at it today and they say, they're still alive. He seems like a pretty nice guy. That's what they're saying right now. He seems like a pretty nice guy. Thoughts?
I mean, yes. If you're in that locker room, you absolutely can't throw in the towel or anything, because you can still win. Two or three games, and Iowa in a tournament game or two, and find yourself in the tournament depending on what happens around you. Boy, from a guy who just watches the games, they just feel so lifeless.
Well, let me bring you an alternative.
Okay,
Josh. This is mostly directed at the crowd who always talks about, are we sure we want to go to the NCAA tournament with this team and get blasted into oblivion? The answer is always yes.
Yes, you are.
Once again. But imagine this team in the stupid, idiotic Crown. That would be even worse. They get blasted by a Crown team.
Yeah, you don't want to get blasted in the Crown.
You don't want to get blasted in the Crown.
Question.
No, that is the worst thing to happen. You can't get blasted in the Crown. You get blasted by some mid-major team that actually wants to be in the Crown. Even though the Crown is only for Big East, Big Ten, and Mountain West schools.
That's right, Connor.
No, Big 12. I think the Big 12's involved. Is the Mountain West? It's a Fox deal, so
yeah,
it's hard to tell who completely is involved in that conversation. Currently on
Big East, Big 10, Big 12.
Currently on Mr. Palm's bracket, 8 Big 10 teams in the field: Maryland, Michigan, Michigan State, Oregon, Purdue, UCLA, Wisconsin, and Illinois. 8 of them.
He has Omaha not in a playoff game, not in a first four game, excuse me. Want to get the verbiage
I'm sorry. Those were locks that I just mentioned.
Oh,
those are locks for the tournament. Wow, he doesn't have Creighton as a lock. Everybody kind of moved Creighton over to lock status over the last couple games here. Marquette and St. John's are the only 2 locks for the. What makes Marquette so locky? Okay, Jerry Palm. But before I get mad at you,
Creighton, Utah State, 8-9 in Raleigh. Winner takes on Duke. Your thoughts?
Creighton, Utah State in Raleigh.
Mm-hmm.
That's a Stephen Ashworth revenge game.
Yes.
Okay. I like Raleigh. I've been to Raleigh many times. I have family in Raleigh. In the Triangle.
Oh. Look at you knowing all the terms. What do you think of that prospect?
Sounds very ugly playing Duke and Raleigh in the round of 32. But Creighton's played Duke in the round of 32 before, and I didn't like that either.
Okay.
But, seems like it might happen again. I don't know. I don't want to play Duke. I don't want to play Houston. Those are my opinions at this point in time.
Those are probably good opinions.
Yep. Thank you. It's appreciated. So that's your updated look on the bracket matrix right now. Nebraska, I don't believe this has been updated yet today. Nebraska is in 85 of the 128 brackets that are being tracked. Creighton in every single one of the 128 brackets, as they deserve to be at this moment. O-Trips writes in, new segment for the future, O-Trips bracketology. O-Trips is doing bracketology? O-Trips, you got to study for more tests, man. Whatever that business thing is, do that.
Business stats.
No more bracketology. More studying for business stats tests.
Don't worry about it. It'll be fine.
One more. Rick Pitino.
Rick.
So what have we noticed about Rick Pitino lately? We're worried about Rick.
Oh, he looks so great in that white suit, though.
We're not worried about his basketball. Well, we're kind of worried about his basketball team when it comes to the NCAA tournament, but they're pretty good.
I've got a hunch
They're
what's going to happen to them.
They're doing okay. And however this year ends, it will be remembered as the team that won a Big East championship for the first time in 30 plus years.
There's a long read front and center, ESPN.com today about Rick.
Rick. But this is another story about Rick. He recently was on WFAN. He claims that Rick Pitino, claims that he is overpaid. I'm overpaid. And he said, well, I'll read you the quote. Why would I leave? Where am I going to go that I would want to leave? This is New York City. This is the greatest city in the world. This is a program that is in the top 10. I'm overpaid right now. They should take some money away from me. I don't need anything. My agent's going to kill me for saying that because he keeps saying you're not in the top 5 of Big East coaches. He is going to kill me now. And so once again, we've moved on from Rick Pitino threatening to kill himself. From now, he is worried about his agent killing him. Fascinating stuff. Yeah, Rick, you can't. I don't think it's probably a wise thing to go on the radio and say, I get paid plenty. Thank you very much. It's the opposite of how some coaches approach it.
Yeah.
Probably not particularly wise, but at this point, he could do no wrong. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
He's kind of a walk on water type of guy at this point, right? He's won all he can. He doesn't have to prove himself at the college basketball level anymore. He's in a really comfortable place for him. He's in New York City. He could, he could wear his white suits and everybody loves it. He doesn't have to impress anybody anymore.
He's so humble.
So he could go on the radio and be like, yeah, whatever. They could pay me. Yeah, they could really pay me whatever they want.
I'd do this for free.
They should probably pay me less, honestly. It seems like it honestly seems mildly appropriate. But I'm just more interested in him transitioning from him wanting to kill himself into him now being concerned about his agent killing him. My agent, he's going to kill me. He's going to jump in the snow and he's gonna...
Like I want to kill myself, jump in the cold and die of frostbite.
Every day.
Every day he talks about killing himself.
He dies every day.
Mike writes in, everything is about his death. Everything is. And Mock Pope.
You know who deserves my paycheck? Mock Pope.
He's done an excellent job as the coach of Big Blue Nation.
That's what Mike says. Just reading Mike's writing.
Mock Pope. All right. quickly here, back to a football, not to bounce around too much, back to a football topic. The ESPN's Big Ten football preview is out.
Whoa, it is March.
They have some questions. They have some storylines. They have some position battles that they are watching. Max Olson, I believe, dear friend Max Olson, is a part of this. One of the questions that was asked was, who's this year's Indiana?
Oh, God, we're going to be sick of that question by August.
Already hate that question.
Okay.
Already hate the question because it's very difficult to be what Indiana did last year. But somebody in the panel nominated GBR.
Oh, let's go.
Nebraska finished with its first winning season since 2016 last year, and yet, given the way it ended, the season felt like another disappointment. The Huskers dropped 5 out of their last 6 Big Ten games, culminating with a deflating 13-10 loss at rival Iowa. Whether Nebraska can make a noteworthy jump hinges on quarterback Turtleneck Man elevating his play in the second season. That's what it says.
Known TikToker.
Starting every game as a true freshman last year, the former 5-star recruit showed plenty of promise, finishing 58 nationally with a QBR of 62.9. Raiola ranked just 97th, though, on third down QBR and 71st in red zone QBR.
Ooh.
If Raiola can improve his clutch play and ramp up the big completions, he ranks just 94th in yards per drop back. He has the talent and pedigree to make Nebraska's this year's Big Ten surprise team. It's so odd how the narratives kind of get built around the team. Like it's all about Raiola. I'm not worried about him. Everyone's like, oh, if he can really take a step up this year, like, yeah, but I don't think that's the thing. I expect him to take a step up. If he's not like way better this year, we're talking statistically, I would be shocked.
Okay.
I would be shocked if he's not way better this year statistically. Just because of what they're going to do with their offense. I think they have a competent offensive coordinator.
Okay, yeah.
I think I want to believe and I want to say out loud that their wide receivers are better and more explosive, but I don't even know that that's the truth. I'm trying to just deal in absolutes here. Nebraska has a much better offensive coordinator than they did last year. We saw that at the end of the season, how quickly Dana Holgorsen came in and was able to tighten some things up. I think that continues. And so I'd be really surprised if Dylan Raiola wasn't markedly better in 2025 than he was in 2024, both from a look standpoint and a statistical standpoint. I'm baking that into the cake already.
Just the way they're going to play is going to boost those numbers.
Yeah.
It might not translate into more wins or anything, but
the way that they played last year, if they were running that back and doing that again, then yes, this would be appropriate. Like, oh, Raiola's just got to be way better. They're going to put it on. They're going to put it on him, and he's just going to be way better. He has to be. I'm already assuming that he's going to be way better just because of the way that they play or the way that they're going to play. So that was one of the times Nebraska was mentioned in this story. And then in the team previews section, Nebraska got the blurb in there. Their spring storyline was this.
Ooh.
After leading Nebraska to its first bowl victory since 2015, Matt Rule is eager to take the next big step in year 3. Dylan Raiola has been surrounded by a ton of new talent thanks to a strong portal haul, and Dana Holgorsen should have his chess pieces he needs to build an exciting offense this season. Position of intrigue is the defensive line, which loses Nash Hutmaker and Ty Robinson, but adds Williams Nwaneri or Nwaneri, whatever.
Yeah.
And a new coach, Terry Braden, who's very loud, and we like that. Player to watch is Kentucky transfer wide receiver Dane Key, who over his 3-year career has got 126 catches for 1,870 yards and 14 touchdowns in the SEC. see.
Throw it to Shorts man's going to tell you to throw it to him.
I am curious to see where they land in some of the preseason predictions. Like, I think there's going to be a lot of there's going to be a lot of, hey, Rule makes the jump in year 3, and that's what he does. But once again, I think we've talked about this. We've had a segment about this on the show. If they do make a jump, I don't think that'll be why, because this really feels like quite a bit different from what they've been doing in the first 2 years. I think the expectation is that they do make a jump. They need to make a jump. They have to have the urgency to make a jump this year in the win column. But I don't think it's just because, like, hey, that's just, it's been building. Year 3, Matt Rule, go. I think it's a little bit different this time, and that's okay.
Yeah.
All right, we are back after this. We'll get to the poll questions. We'll tell you what to watch on 1620 The Zone.
After further review, the host is deemed to be out of bounds. The Connor Happer Show returns in minutes on 1620 The Zone.
Is your concrete cracked or uneven? Hey everyone, Coach Greg McDermott here to explain why you should choose Everlevel Concrete Repair. Many people think they need to replace broken concrete, but repairing it provides durable protection and comes at a fraction of the cost. Everlevel provides permanent repair solutions to fix your concrete and protect it against future damage, and it all comes with a long-term transferable warranty. They offer free inspections to walk you through the entire process. Call Everlevel Concrete Repair today.
All right, time for the polls at Happer Show on the JTech Construction Zone Twitter feed. Here we go. Does O-Trip study? Awfully specific.
Studies ball.
We know that. I don't know if he studied for business, whatever the hell.
Business stats.
81% say no.
Good scouting report on O-Trips.
We'll see his response to that. And the other poll question today was, do you want to get blasted in the crown?
I do not.
No, you do not. Nobody does.
Mm-mm.
Well, maybe some people do. 70% say no. Josh, those are the polls. What are we watching tonight?
We are watching college basketball, Connor.
Yeah, we are.
Imagine a 5:30 tip.
That'd be cool. I think Creighton's had like one of those this year.
BTN has one today. Number 13, Maryland at number 17, Michigan. And what I imagine is the number one thrill score on Ken Palm today. 6 o'clock tip on ESPN2. Number 5, Florida at number 7, Alabama.
93.
That's pretty high.
Hello.
Yeah,
that
yeah.
is very green on KenPalm.com.
Alabama outside track of a 1 seed still probably can't.
This is like a 1 seed eliminator.
Yeah. I would think so, just based on my rudimentary knowledge of what's happening in college basketball.
And those are two of the teams that are up for it. So.
And a game Creighton fans will be paying attention to. Number 20 Marquette at
That's
UConn,
right.
7:30 FS1.
That's number 5 in the thrill score today.
You had the scenarios. Creighton fans want Marquette to win this game, right? Because Creighton has the tiebreaker.
That was before last night because
okay.
Creighton's going to if they beat Butler on Saturday, which I feel like they will, then it doesn't matter.
Okay.
But I guess if they end up tied, then you want to be tied with Marquette instead of UConn.
Okay, I follow.
So I believe that, yes.
In a couple of hours here on 1180.
I was worried about last night. That was the thing.
Okay.
I'm not really worried about Saturday.
Mark that down. Put it in Butler's bulletin board. Sorry. Denver versus Omaha in the women's game, 4:15. The pregame begins on 1180, 4:30 tip, their opening game in the Summit League tournament. Husker women get underway in the Big Ten tournament in Indianapolis today. It's on Peacock at 5 o'clock. Rutgers against Nebraska.
Do you know Marquette finishes with UConn and St. John's?
Brutal.
Yeah.
Brutal. NBA doubleheader on ESPN. Heat Cavs at 6, followed by Thunder Grizzlies at 8:30. NHL doubleheader on TNT. Capitals Rangers at 6:30, followed by Maple Leafs in Vegas to take on the Golden Knights.
Oh, Vegas.
Yeah, Vegas. One of your towns.
Dang it.
One of your people.
I want to go.
8:30 on CBS tonight. You get the season 37 premiere of The Amazing Race. New teams encounter their first surprise twist when they confront the inaugural fork in the road. I don't know what any of that means. But finally, I can tell you at that same time, 8:30 on AMC, you can watch another Vegas movie.
Vegas Vacation?
Con Air.
Not a Vegas movie.
Well, it is.
Not a Vegas movie.
Ends in
Just
Vegas.
because it ends in the middle of the Vegas Strip
That's
doesn't
right.
make it a Vegas movie.
Well, you'd be
Spoiler
surprised.
alert. Spoiler alert. You didn't mention that Minden and SCOTUS.
Yeah, you can watch that right now. 6-1. Minden leads the 2 over the 7. 3.5 to go in the first quarter of that one on News Channel Nebraska.
Football pill Josh Peterson writes in.
Hi, Josh Peterson.
If Florida played Bama in football in a 3-6 matchup, I'd be all in. But that was in response to the Florida-Alabama basketball game tonight, which is a huge, huge game. But he says, actually, I'm out. I think I'll unpack more.
Ouch. Tough look for Florida and Alabama.
Not really. I don't want Josh watching our sport.
Real quickly, did you see ESPN moved Shulman and Billis to the SEC
You know
tournament?
what? I caught that out of the
this
corner of my
year?
eye last night, and I'm like, wow, you guys really do have no shame, do you? Really?
They've done the ACC tournament
For
every
years.
year for the last 30 years or whatever.
4 years.
And the SEC has a hot year, and they're like, nope, you're in Greensboro or wherever the hell they play that.
This is awesome. Who do you think was scheduled to do the SEC tournament? Like McDonough?
Maybe.
You know?
I don't know.
I bet he's triggered.
Yeah. Hey, that was my day.
You're telling me I got to go do Clemson and Pitt? That sucks.
We're here for Boston College, Virginia.
Yeah. Yikes. All right. That's what we're watching tonight. Josh, thank you.
Thank you, Connor.
And that is the show. If you miss anything, you can find it all on our website, 1620thezone.com. Crossover with all of us here. Coming up next.